It is 2 hours, so buckle up if you thought his hour-long video was long. This one's even longer. I hope you have a long car drive ahead of you, a lawn to mow, a long workout, something.
Yeah. Uh, if you know.
All right, coming in hot. So this will mark the first episode of the Four Rings If You Know You Know podcast, and that will be a series of podcasts about the Audi brand, usually celebrating it, covering its history, talking to guests and people in the Audi community, and occasionally being critical of the brand too. In this case, timeliness. I just launched the Weekly Driver podcast, and shortly after that, Auditography, which is a YouTube channel and a Instagram account, but really more so a creator behind all of that. He's been, like me, an Audi enthusiast and effectively a journalist covering the Audi brand for years. And he has concerns that he wanted to share. So he created a video called Speak Up for Audi. It's over an hour long. He covers his concerns about what's going on. So in and around the Audi community, I've seen a consistency of also concern about what's going on with so much change. Sometimes it's traditionalism, just people not wanting to move on, but sometimes it's genuinely productive. And concerns seemed genuine and heartfelt. So I wanted to reach out with him and compare notes. I also have my own concerns. They aren't always the same as his, but they are concerns. And right now is an opportunity, as I see it, with the amount of attention his video has gotten, to have those voices at least be heard, right? Like I don't expect Audi to listen to everything we say. Like they've got to deal with all sorts of things, right? Labor issues, tariffs, production costs in a time when you've got to upright EVs and deal with, post Dieselgate budgets. At the same time, though, I think this is a productive conversation to have, and so I wanted to have it. And it is 2 hours, so buckle up if you thought his hour-long video was long. This one's even longer. I'm George Acorn. Welcome to the Four Rings If You Know You Know podcast. I guess what I'd love to start with is, obviously there's the elephant in the room of, the topic and the subject matter of your video. And I think that's an important subject. But before we get into that, I would love to know more about you, kind of how this started for you, how you got into the space.
Yeah. How auditography started.
If you're willing to even go even further back, what set off your flame or your passion for the brand?
For the brand, oh man, then we have to go way back when I'm
Hmm.
like 15, 16, I think, something like that, in the
Yeah.
mid of the 90s, when I was doing what everybody was doing. I was liking BMWs, left and right, E36s and all of that, and one day my friend says to me that his father bought a brand new Audi A4. This was 1998. It was a 1.8 B5 pre-facelift, and he picked us up from the athletics training. And as he rolls up, to the athletics training in that black Audi A4, when you sometimes get these moments when it
Right.
takes you just a few seconds and you're hooked for life. That
Yeah.
was the moment for me right there, right? That moment, everything else stopped. I was an Audi fan in those 3 seconds. So that was kind of
It
cool. I always refer to that.
it's funny with the B5, right? Like it's so many people I've met who are around. It's that 90s era, the B5
Yes.
hits, and all of a sudden it's got this appeal that, you
Oh
know,
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And basically I promised myself I'm gonna get one of those. And it took me 3 years to work, save money. At first, I was going to go for like a 2, 3 year old used A4, and back then we were living in Sweden, and I there was a thing that if you bought a new car in Denmark, you didn't have to pay the Swedish taxes or something like that, so you saved a
hmm,
little money. So I was like, okay, let me buy a brand new car, which I did. So I bought a brand new A4 B5 straight from the showroom. Unfortunately, not Quattro, but nevertheless, I spent so much money on that car in coming years, and I still have it
yeah,
today. That's the crazy thing. I still do have it today, and it has only got 88,000 kilometers. I don't know how many miles that is.
really.
Yeah, like what,
Well,
60,000 or something like that?
yeah, probably. It's quite low.
Yeah. So, and that car has never seen snow, never seen rain.
Really,
During its 25 years now, it has never stood one night outside. And I'm like,
really.
yeah. So that's the car you see in the beginning of the film when I enter like a barn, old barn, and I uncover it.
Yeah.
That's the car, and then you see. my wife holding a picture from me of 2003.
Huh.
And then she lifts it up, and then then you see me in 2025. So yeah, but that's how I kind of like started. And then came the RS4B5, which changed another thing for me. That became my ultimate dream car. As I had the A4B5, I was always talking about the RS4. This is the ultimate dream car. I was watching Fifth Gear. I was watching, you remember what was the name of the guy that had the fifth gear when he pulls up in the RS4B5 and you can see him in the mirror. Tiff
Tiff,
Needell.
Nito.
And I remember that scene when you can see that little small mirror of the RS4 B5 and he goes like, this car does 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds. Sounds impressive. Let me show you. And that I still remember that. Or the snail
Right.
advertisement. Remember when the red RS4 B5 and the snail that's stuck on the hood and they drive and the snail kind of like glides away from the hood?
Right.
Stuff like this. And it got me onto the forums, and I started some local, Audi meets back in Sweden, and because I was I was at that time when the interest for cars were big, and we were. You can see a lot of pictures that I pulled up so many pictures in that film, in that Speak Up for Audi. I mean, it took me 6 months, and I really had to go back to my childhood
Can I
house.
say it was so beautifully shot too? I mean, not that I
Thank you.
expected you see your content. I know
Yeah,
your stuff is always quality anyway, but
yeah,
sitting there watching, it was like, damn, that's like to play at that level. I
yeah.
thought your production value was fantastic. So
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. I knew I had to create a feeling as people had to know what kind of a big Audi fan I am before I
right,
actually, started to quote complain. Because I had to know that this guy doesn't just complain for the complaining's sake, what just people do. There's a lot of haters, keyboard warriors and everything. I needed to paint a picture. Like
right,
Audi is my life. That's why I said Audi is not a brand for me. It's a lifestyle. I live Audi. I've been living Audi since the 90s. So I really had to, that's why I went back to my mom's and dad's house. I pulled up those pictures from the Audi meets in 2000. I saw my A4. I saw an black RS4 B5 pull up in one of those meets. I went nuts. I put my A4 next to him and I was like, man, I was just the B5 was the ultimate dream car for me. Always, there is no other. That's the car. And when I bought it in 2013, then you can just imagine, when I got hold of the Nogaro edition as well. So yeah, it's just basically a young guy had an opportunity to buy a brand new A4B5 in 2001, January 15. And it started there. My interest for Audi really car meets. I don't know if you remember, there was a website called German Car Forums, which later on became Motor One today. So those
right.
people that started those forums, and I was on the forums fighting with the BMW guys, no, the RS65 is better than the E60 M5 and all of that.
Yeah.
If you can look back on those forums, you can see what did I went under the name of Audi Tumbo. Yeah, I remember that. And same name as I had in Fortitude. So yeah,
Okay.
if that answers your question a little bit.
No, it does, and what a great time that was. I think not to dump too far forward into your video because I
Yeah.
want to know what got you there, but I think that's one of the things I'm struggling with now myself. It's been a challenging more than a couple of years for Audi, right? First Dieselgate, and this year they're dealing with
Yes.
tariffs.
Oh my God.
Um, they've got a lot to manage other than just product, but I look back at that era and you see the amount of effort that went into,
Every single
just
detail.
I'm sorry.
Every single detail.
Well, not just details, but for me, it's also about building passion for the brand. Like what really was
Yeah.
impactful for me, I'm totally jumping around now, but what was really impactful
Oh,
for me in your video was when you're talking about the enthusiasts and listening to them, right? Like in that time, whether it was the B5 era, kind of forward through the R8 and Le
yeah.
Mans, there was just step upon step upon step of effort to not just make owners, but make fans. And, maybe they weren't all like you. I've got an army of Audis that I've owned over the years and that I'm very
Yeah.
proud of. And I probably bleed a little more red than most Audi
Yeah.
enthusiasts. It sounds like, we're very much alike in that. But regardless, people, even casual fans, I can't tell you how many people during that era who were like, my kid, whether it was probably more Iron Man than Le Mans, but my kid loves the R8. And when I went to buy a car, he made me buy, you know, the
Oh
Q7
my.
because, dad had to get I wasn't allowed to buy the BMW or the Mercedes. He said I had to get the Audi. It's remarkable to me how important that was to the brand at the time. That's one of the
Yeah.
things that I feel like has kind of been lost over the last couple of
Yeah.
years.
But interesting point when seeing you talk and everything, I recognize a lot of people at Audi that I meet on those new car events, because don't forget that I'm probably on around 10 to 15 model launches every year. And you
Yeah,
meet a lot of people during those launches, and
sure.
you meet a lot of amazing people and you meet a lot of less amazing people, and you can
Yeah,
see the difference when you talk to those less amazing people. You talk to them about these deep stuff, and you can see in their eyes it's not registering because
yeah.
they are thinking different ways. And for example, I rem just, yeah, we're gonna jump a lot of back and forth, but
Well, the listeners will just have to deal
Yeah,
with it.
RS3 facelift,
Yeah.
the latest one, 8Y.5 or 8.5Y, whatever you call it. I remember we were in Spain last year. And I mean, Audi people, they know when I show up, they know I'm gonna be very open about things. If I don't see a badge, I'm gonna tell them straight up in the face what on earth is going on. So basically, when I saw the RS3 first time, and I had my coworker with me, and his comment was, "Oh my God, it looks like a whole rabbit fence got stuck in the grill." That was his first comment on the RS3. All right, then you can see those Audi people. I mean, they're great people, but of course they get a little bit irritated when you say something like that.
Right.
But then I come and I was like, okay, where is the freaking badge? I just said it straight up. This is an RS3. A badge is, as I said in the film, it's history, it's heritage. If you don't like the badge, give a customer option. Remove the badge
Yeah.
if you want to, keep it if you want. It's simple. But do you
Yeah. It,
understand
it
how
could
much?
even be a point they charge more money for, right? Like, you want
Yeah,
the badge, it'll be an
yeah.
extra
And then,
$100.
yeah, exactly. And then the spokesperson for that RS3 event said to me, well, we designed the car in a way that it doesn't really need a badge. You can see it's an RS3. I'm like, I stopped the person immediately. No, no, no. I said, I don't care if the car is made of gold. You have to have a badge. You don't get it. And then the person goes like, well, you're the only one of all the media that has been complaining about this. And then I go like, then I got really like, I wasn't upset, but I was like, I needed to like, hey, can we open a beer and sit for 5 hours so I can explain to you
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But I see the person's eyes. The person didn't get it, didn't get a memo. So I told, listen, maybe I am the only one here, but number one, I have the most enthusiasts and owners behind me that are saying the same thing. I don't say this because I feel like I want to complain on something. This is a huge matter. And then I felt like, you know what? They're not listening. And
Yeah.
already back then, that was like a year ago, I started to go in thoughts that I need to put everything in one freaking movie or video. And I started to go in thoughts, and that's kind
Right.
of how the idea was born that I was not listened to. But I knew I had so many people behind me. So if we would have come together and open up, maybe they would listen to us then. And this
Right.
is basically what has happened here.
And there's so many things to unpack there, right? Like
Yeah,
part of me thinks the badging issue. It's funny, the badging issue, right? Like, badges were what the rhombus back until like the B5 facelift, so late
yeah, yeah,
90s, I
yeah.
guess maybe.
Yeah.
And when it
Yes.
got the different door handles, I forget what year that was.
S4, yeah,
And
yeah. S4,
yeah,
yeah. The 99A and 99B,
right,
that was switched there, yeah, yeah.
right. The pre-facelift S4 had the old
Yes.
rhombus style,
Yeah.
and then it goes to the italic script with the overlaid on the rhombus. And other than
Yeah.
size, it doesn't change for what until this last change. Like, the font is basically the same. They're
It
smaller.
was so
The most
loved.
recent,
Everybody loved it. Nobody ever
right?
complained on that.
Yeah, no. Well, so here's what I wonder is, like, first of all, for as me an enthusiast, I liked it, no
Yeah.
question. But knowing, like, especially like I know they watch the other brands, BMW's sort of evolved theirs the last few years. I wonder, this is just a theory I have.
Yeah.
It seems like post Dieselgate, Mark Lichty became head of design Lichty is a puzzle for me too
Yeah.
because I didn't know him personally. I knew the team's previous. I stopped doing like the long leads and a lot of the events you did. First of all,
Uh,
if America wants to take US press, it's rare. If the timing's not right, they don't take them. Even if they do take
yeah.
them, in the old days, they were very supportive of enthusiast media like me. And then at a certain
Yeah.
point, kind of right before I sold the sites, they kind of
Mhm.
changed that and stopped taking me.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't then a matter of like they weren't displeased with what I was doing, but I simply wasn't big enough because they were only
Yeah.
measuring on volume. And auditography may be big, but is it as big as the biggest general automotive channels? That's what I was contending with. And
Yeah.
anyway, where I'm going with that is like after Dieselgate, which is about the time I start to slow down and stop doing European trips.
We're
Uh,
talking about 16, 17.
2016 is when I sold it. And we had,
Yeah.
I remember, was it 15? I think when everything went down with Dieselgate was like, we were all in, what would it have been? Frankfurt, I think it was. We were all in Frankfurt. And I remember we had a roundtable with Hockenberg. But then we literally, with that, the Audi of America trip was there in with that. And then we flew directly from there to Circuit of the Americas in Texas, where the R18s were racing that
Yeah.
weekend. And I remember, like, I think I was in the airport in Frankfurt and I saw the PR people and I was like, hey, did you guys hear something about diesel? Like, I don't, it was just kind of hitting. And everybody
Yeah.
was mum, right? And then
Yeah.
we get down there, and then that things kind of change. But anyway, where I'm going with that is Lichty's design. I think he did Golf Mark 5 or Golf Mark 6. I can't remember, but maybe
Yeah.
it was Mark 7 even. I remember like being impressed by his work at Volkswagen when they said they'd hired him. Like that guy might be interesting. And then what he did afterward was just very busy. Like I had a C8 RS6
Yeah.
2021, and I love the proportion of it. The car was a cartoon, the giant wheels and everything else, but it had, and like a lot of Lichty's design, it had these busy elements, like things that just were
Yeah.
unnecessary. And like I
Yes.
think the worst is like the vents on the back of the last of the Mark III TT, right? Like the facelift TT.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And where I'm going with that is like I feel like I don't know if it was he was being pressured by people who didn't have the sort of instinct that say Winterkorn or Piek had, but like
Yeah.
he definitely seemed to have to like his design shifted to be more busy than it needed to be. And
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
long way of getting to this. I wonder if the badging situation and the rings too are more of a reaction to we need to clean this up and make it simpler. Like it's too busy. It's There's too much going on. It's too cartoon like. Um,
It's a mess when I think about it, It's I don't think you can explain that in any logical way. I
yeah,
heard that the person that designed the new badges spent a year doing that, and it was a woman. I was like, okay, a year? I mean,
really.
I can get a 5-year-old kid do that in 5 minutes to design a better
Yeah.
than that. I'm sorry for the harsh words, but
It's
the
basically Audi
majority
type.
does
It's
not like the
it's like the
badge.
brand font, right? Like the Audi type font. I think it's literally that lifted and made 3D with plastic.
But
Um,
it just looks so unemotional and
yeah,
uninspiring, and
it's
it's
very
simple.
plain. And weirdly, there is an italic in Audi type, so I don't know why they needed to homogenize it, make it all the same across
No,
all
yeah,
A, S, and
yeah, as you
RS.
say, cost savings, everything. Because I mean, when we think about it, of course, cost savings because the RN and the S is no longer in the rhombus, so But the thing is, man, we can talk about it for hours. But the thing is
Yeah.
just how everything just how to say went. I mean, they dove into the craziest decisions, as for example, putting that rhombus on the A and Q models. I mean, that
Yeah.
was lowest point for me, as I explained it. I mean, I was trying to really filter my words in the movie because it needed to have a certain feeling. Of course, I'm
Hmm.
more upset than that, but y- you have to be a little bit political sometimes and,
Yeah.
think twice before you say anything. But
Yep.
I really felt like that was such a blow that badging, on the A and Q,
We-
I
It,
couldn't get.
it's surprising because if they're listening, right? Like I don't. Part of me wonders there are a lot more people. You kind of alluded to it earlier. Even in the early days, I could see when I would work with Audi, there were the people who, for whom it was just a job, and I would
Yeah,
talk to them about football or their
yeah,
kids or whatever, but they didn't really nerd out about cars, or they would get
yeah,
uncomfortable if I was, some of those executives, Hockenberg, Hotz.
yeah, yeah,
I never really spent much time with Piek, but they would get so. I mean, those guys were like car people to the bone, and so I
yeah.
remember
Yeah, that's
Hotz in particular.
fine. What was his
Yeah,
name? Lamberty. Oh my God.
Lamberty. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, I
Frank
could.
is.
I've spoken so many times with this guy. I mean, we were,
Yeah.
you know, the funny thing when
Hmm.
me and him meet, and we are like these two
Yeah.
idiots on the side, just screaming and talking and everything. I mean, when he said to me in 2018, when I was in Chile on the Q8 event, I had no idea that I was sitting in front of the freaking R8 designer. When he told
Yeah,
me,
the Mark One, like
yeah,
that. Yeah, he's the guy.
yeah, I remember when I designed the side blade of the. I was like, oh wait. I was sitting with a
Yeah.
freaking steak in
He
front of
told
me.
you it was. Did he tell
Yeah,
you it was? He and I nerded out one day at Museum Mobile for I don't know
yeah,
how many hours, but
yeah,
but like I guess the blades were active early on, like they had active aero
yeah,
to like
yeah,
pull
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
cooling into the that
Yeah.
got cost cut.
I remember I moved all the like, can you imagine all the cutlery and plates on the side, and I
Yeah.
just slid over and I'm like, tell me everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was, and I met him again in the Q5 event, the
Yeah.
latest Q5, SQ5, and it was a different Frank. He was still passionate, but I felt he was restrained. And that's also, that I said to myself, they have these amazing people. They
Yeah.
are so amazing, so passionate, so great. Let them speak, let them free, and you will be back in your best golden times in no time. You have those
Yeah.
people already there, right there. You don't have to hire nobody new. They are right there. So
Yeah.
that was, yeah, because I felt like they did not like the interior at all. They love the exterior. I said I love the exterior. I mean, not love. I like the Q5. I was just extremely happy that it didn't have those horrendous, atrocious, horrible split headlights.
Right.
I hate with my entire body.
What's
So
the, has anybody, maybe, I don't know. So Frank is very much an enthusiast. I'm sure sometimes the PRs probably, or their
yeah,
handlers, right? Probably,
yeah,
I always found they got a little bit defensive when you get around the nerds and you start nerding out. They're
oh
afraid of
yeah,
where the conversation goes, right? And
yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah,
paid to
yeah,
do that, but
yeah,
yeah. So the stacked headlights, that's something I saw that in the story too, and it's funny you mention that because that conversation comes up a lot with my friends with whom I'll
yeah,
discuss design.
yeah.
That design is everywhere. Like you said, it starts the Kia, BMW's doing it.
Everywhere,
Like,
every single
right.
brand. You
I
can't.
guess that's my.
Every single brand.
I'm surprised why they would have gone like followed down that road. I get that it's a trend, but man, so many people have done it. There's nothing original about it.
Well, I couldn't really, I'm not gonna guess or anything, but I heard a story. Actually, Audi was the first with these lights. And something happened that some other company bought the idea from them and then
Hmm.
ended up doing it last. Something
Weird.
like that. Don't quote me on that. I don't
Well,
know exactly how, but it was something that they invented. Audi invented. I'm happy that they didn't pull it out
okay.
because it's the ugliest design
Yeah.
term in the history of cars. So I'm happy they didn't do
Right.
it.
Well,
But there was something
Peter
there.
Schreier, I mean, they're all, it's very incestuous, right? Peter
Yeah.
Schreier's over at Hyundai and who
Yeah.
knows. But it's not just Hyundai.
Yeah,
It,
yeah. I met
or,
Mark. We had a lot of good discussions. I met him in 2018 in Los Angeles Motor Show, and
right.
no, so no, LA. Yes, LA Motor Show or San Francisco. I don't remember which it was. There's a picture of me and Mark talking in the
In the video.
film. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, that was the first time I met him, and he was so excited. Well, first of all, I was very happy that he knew who I was, and then they look at my
Yeah.
pictures and all of that. So it was a big honor for me because I didn't want to bother him. I just said hi, blah blah blah, Auditography. And he's like, You're Auditography? Yes. Oh, we love your photos, and we look at them and when we're designing cars. And I'm like in seventh heaven,
Yeah, totally.
I'm not a starstruck person. That has never been me. I mean, maybe
Yep.
when we get older, we get less. I don't know. But that was kind of that moment when I was like, okay, I think I made it. If a head
Yeah.
designer Audi knows
No,
who
that's
I
great.
am. So
No.
when we started to talk about, and he's like, yeah, you have to see the upcoming RS6 and RS7 C8. They're going to be awesome, great talks, amazing, and all of that. So I was very excited. Like this guy really, knows what he's doing, he's passionate and everything. Then I meet him 2 years later or 1 year later. I think 1 year later.
Mm.
And by that time, the S7 TDI and the S6 TDI with the fake exhaust, the Q5,
Yeah.
SQ5, all those dropped. And then I asked him, Mark, please tell me why. And he got very emotional about it because he said that it wasn't his original plan, that he didn't want to do
Yeah.
it, that it was the AdBlue tank and they had to move it, and then he was forced to design the fake exhaust. I'm like, listen, do you understand that this is gonna take forever to get rid of?
Yeah.
because it's, and I remember he was a little bit more restrained, still a very nice guy, and we talked a lot about cars, but I saw a difference from 18 to a little bit later.
It's it's tough, man. Like I think I have a theory. Again, I was out of the game for a lot of that time. Certainly not. I in the game with Audi of America, but once I'm starting to work with Audi Club in like
Yeah,
2017, and then through like last year, we really didn't have access to. I noticed them shutting down interaction with senior executives that they always used
yeah,
to leave very open. Designers. Maybe there's certain like A-list journalists in the U.S. that were still getting that, but at my level, it just wasn't happening anymore. And with
yeah,
the ones that I'd made friends with and stayed in contact with, I also saw similar where like you wonder if like post Dieselgate and maybe as with the European EV mandates, like
yeah,
there was a political change that I think if
yeah,
you wanted to keep your
absolutely.
job, you had
You had to
to
listen,
deal
adapt.
with.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And that's I've always wondered that with Lichty. Like I've seen his work pre-Audi was very interesting to me. And it's not that I didn't like his stuff at Audi. It was just kind of busy. And I always wondered how much he was being, unlike the old days where you had Winterkorn and those guys weren't designing the cars, but they had such amazing instinct. If somebody
yeah,
with bad instinct went to the designers, and look at De Silva,
yeah.
right? De Silva's an icon. So
Oh
like
yeah, of course.
they go if those people were looking over the shoulder of the designers and the designers got to do really cool stuff, but if you get people with not great instinct running the company and
Yeah,
there's no De Silva or Winterkorn in the room to stop them and you're
yeah,
you're a you're a Lichty, now you've got to deal with those people and keep them happy too. And it's a game, right? Like I don't envy
yeah,
that position for them.
yeah.
I will
That's
I
what.
will say, I
Yeah.
don't know, your contacts may be different, but I have a few designer friends that I stay in contact with, not talking about specific product, but
Mhm.
they say under Massimo, what they're doing now is so cool. And so they
And he's
seem
very
impact.
secretive.
Yeah, but they're also very impassioned again, right? Like I
Yeah.
can, the way
Yes.
they
Yes.
talk about it, they were
Yep. Yep.
kind of beaten up the last couple of years. And
Yeah. 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 Oh yes.
it
Yes.
definitely seems like it's a new time, not just in the design itself, but in the attitude.
That's why also I thought it was a great time to make this film because I felt the slight change that I felt like if I make it and then this little percentage of people that are starting to listen
Right.
will really listen and get other people to really listen, then we can have a movement. So that was kind of like also I felt
Yeah.
like there is a change coming, and especially with Gernot Döllner, I mean how many CEOs take their time to sit down and reply to a fan mail?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that's many. He did.
No, I love that he did. And for those people who are, I guess, listening to this and didn't see, he did respond to you. You've got that stickied on your video. Probably it's probably worth we're pretty deep into this, but it's probably worth staying. You produced an
Yes.
hour long, over hour long video creating your showing your concerns of where you have going on with the
But
brand right now.
to
And
interrupt you a little bit there,
yeah,
this
please do.
this goes a little bit way back. This is the difference. What I
Okay.
mean, why I am so respectful and so hopeful when it comes to Mr. Dillner is that now we are in 2022. I am in Faroe Islands and shooting the new Q6. And I really don't like that car. I really don't like that car. I don't like the plastics. I don't like the split headlights. I just know it doesn't feel Audish to me. And I'm very open about it. And it kind of like accumulated of all my suffering from starting with the fake exhaust in 2017, then moving on to underpowered performance cars, just no new models. I mean, we how many models did I mean there was no new models from 2018, I mean 2020 to 2024. There was nothing happening.
Yeah.
Nothing. And we got the RS5 competition, RS4 competition with all this stuff and not one single horsepower more when BMW was making 500 plus horsepower and all of that. Everything just accumulated. And I was like, you know what? Let me just sit down and write. And 2022 on a flight, I think to Bangkok in Thailand or something. I was on a 9 hours flight and I wrote a 14-page letter to Audi. This was 2022. I wrote and wrote and wrote, kind of a little bit similar how this film actually ended up now. But back then, I think I wrote, that was before the badges. That was crazy.
Right.
Before the badging, that was before the new interiors, before all the real craziness that happened. Was I heard? No, I was not. I wrote, I
So you
wrote
sent it to them?
I sent it to them. I sent it to my Audi contacts, and I had some really close Audi contact, and they said, "Listen, your letter came back to us. We have to deal with it." I'm like, "What do you mean to us? I want the board members to read it." "No, it's too long. They will not have time to read it." "What do you mean not have time? If you care,
Yeah.
you read every single word of it." "No, you have to shorten it down." I was like, "I don't want to shorten it down. Everything in there is exactly what I feel, and I know that the majority is feeling." So basically, that was it. Just my closest people at Audi, my contact, which I, have the biggest respect for, it stopped there. Fast
Yeah.
forward to 2 years later, when some guy, some random guy, just member of Instagram, he sends me, "Listen, I have Gernot Donner's email. You want it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want it." That was 2024 because he became the CEO end of 23, right? Yes, so that was
Yeah.
2024.
Yeah.
And I sent him an email. Just be a short one. "Hi, auditography, blah blah blah, this and this and that. Just wanted, I just wrote some rubbish, short. Didn't want to make it long." 3 days later, boom, reply in the inbox. I was
Hmm.
like, Are you kidding me?" He replied, and then I brought up that 14-page letter. "I'm so glad that you replied. I wish that people were, replied to me 2 years ago when I wrote that." And immediately he goes like, "Which letter? Could you please send it to me?" You see the difference of just,
Right.
I was like, "Holy, this guy
Right.
listening." And then kind of like how my respect towards him started. He listened to, maybe, I mean, I was maybe nobody. I don't know if he knew who I was, but just that he took time to reply,
Right.
and he actually asked me, "Hey, can you send that letter that you sent 2 years ago? So I will look at it, or I will have somebody else look at it." So that's what I wanted to say, the difference between whoever was before him and with him. That is why I have this hope, which I finished the whole movie with. The whole
Yeah.
chapter of hope is because of that.
I think you navigated that well. That's the challenge with people that senior is that
Yeah.
this is one of my greatest like frustrations. Back in the day, Audi of America in particular, like Germany, I was less familiar with their operations, but Audi of America was so progressive about putting enthusiasts like me, and not just me, Audi World, Audi Zine, Quattro World,
Yeah.
Audi Club North America.
That's
We
cool.
had
That's Mike Jurgens.
yeah, well, and before him at Quattro, it was Josh, and
Yeah.
then Mike was kind of came on and really fronted that for a
Uh,
while. But yeah, in the early days, Audi World, whatever, and Audi World would morph over time too of who I was repping it. But they would
yeah.
give us regular access, not just to the trips, but to the most senior executives. And I would be at
Yeah.
dinners like with Michael Dick or Wolfgang Haas or whomever,
Yeah.
and in having that access you have direct, they hear your voice directly, where if you go through
Yeah.
their handlers, it
No,
gets
you never. Yeah.
filtered,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And they just don't see it. And that's really like to me, that was one of the breakdowns of, at this point I was working with Audi Club, and while Audi Club didn't have the readership that Fortitude had, Audi Club is the largest Audi owner club in the world, Audi Club North America.
Hmm.
And
That's cool.
it so to not give them any access at all. I wasn't like, do you know who I am? I'm important. I wasn't trying to say that, but as running that club, I felt like that was an important
Hmm.
position, and you just didn't have it. And unfortunately, when I've had to go through handlers, it often doesn't go well, right? Because they
Yeah.
have a hierarchy, especially the Germans, right? They have a hierarchy, and you go through the
Absolutely.
hierarchy and you deal with it. So I think it's great he's listening to you in that regard.
Yeah, it changed. um Cannot change, but it gave me hope because I was running out of hope. I was really running out of hope.
Right,
I even started a second channel. I wrote that in the letter back in 2022, that it pushed me so far that I lost so much interest in new Audis because they was basically not releasing, and I needed to continue with my content. So I was like, you know what? Let me start another channel with
right,
other brands because, I had the opportunity. I had a lot of friends who had a lot of nice showrooms. And for me, that was no big deal to get a Ferrari or a Lambo or a Bentley or whatever. It was but I never had a passion for those cars. But
right.
me, the crazy, I wrote that in the letter 2022, that when I was shooting the G80 M3, and I was standing in front of it, and I had different plates. My channel was named, is still, I didn't post that much in the last year, Auto Tellus, but basically Tellus is Earth and Auto, cars. So,
Hmm.
and I was having that Auto Tellus plate on the car. you know what? I started to cry like a little baby because it felt so wrong. Because I was always driven by passion and I was standing in front of Audis because I adored them. I loved them. That was everything for me. And here I am. It's like you were cheating on your wife or something. You're standing there in
Right.
a different car and it just felt so wrong. But that's how far it got, that I was there in that dark space. I had not, I mean, I was impressed by the car. Don't get me wrong. I was like, why doesn't the RS5 feel like this? That was
Right.
I was like, it's a great car, but I didn't want to feel like that. So it was a very tough time when I had to open that channel. I still have it. Maybe I can always shoot some other car, but I'm not passionate.
Yeah. Hey, look, I mean, here's the thing. I think we saw it like Audi Sport, right? They had the whole Le Mans program. And
Uh,
when you shut things like that down and when you
yes.
let things like that go, you make a rash decision. Look, sometimes that happens. I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
I'm not unrealistic about that. But at the same time, you lose so much and it's so costly to build that back. And I think that's what
You know,
one of the things I was going to say earlier, when we first started working with Audi World in the late 90s, Audi, I don't know about in Germany, I think it's the same. Audi is the young, or at least was the youngest demographic brand in the premium space in the United
oh,
States.
yeah.
And in the 90s, Audi World was bigger than uh, pretty much any of the luxury brands. We were doing VW Vortex at the time, and of course, Volkswagen sells more cars. And we
Mm,
were fighting with Audi World. Like if you watched at the time the kind of analytics sites, Audi World was bigger than us at times, and uh, remained, I think, punches above its weight class as far as having an enthusiast following. And I think that's one of the dangers watching your video and hearing what I've heard the last couple of years with,
yeah.
one of what really resonated about your video was how much it echoed things I've been hearing. So while I might like, I'll
Yeah.
just use the badging as an example. I don't particularly like the new badging, but let's say I did. We may disagree on that, but
Yeah.
I was hearing the same,
The unity.
this,
Yeah. Everywhere.
yeah, yeah, just frustration. And when those
That's the thing.
people
Yes, exactly.
when they stop loving the brand and they go buy something else, like acquisition costs so much more than retention, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I don't get why letting people. Sometimes I think the enthusiasts. Well, I'm really jumping around, but back to what you said earlier with the enthusiasts. Do you and the non-enthusiast employees? I sometimes felt a bit second class because of my enthusiasm or my position representing an enthusiast community
Yeah, because you're never
where
gonna buy a new car.
yeah, well,
That's
the B5
yeah.
was that was always the stereotype, right? Like, well, they just own B5s. Those are from the 1990s or the
Exactly.
2000s. We need to sell new cars, right?
Yeah, it's like that's why it was so important for me to make that chapter about the enthusiast because as I said, I hear it from a lot of keyboard warriors. Hey, it's just an enthusiast. He will never buy a new car. He's stuck in his B5 and all of that, and it's just so wrong. So I really
Yeah,
had to like listen. The enthusiast is basically the core of the brand
yeah,
because as I said in the film, he starts the websites, he starts the whatever meets, and he goes to the meets, he goes to school, he goes to university, he speaks about Audi at work. He creates this whole momentum of an oh yeah, this guy John, he told me something about this new Audi. The guy says to
yeah.
his wife, and then the wife says to her friend, and that's how it starts. If you're going to belittle that, then we might as well just everybody drive in the same car and the same color, right?
Well, I don't get like I try and figure out the psychology of why they don't value it's preaching to the choir is often the terms I hear. Like, why should we spend a lot of time on Fortitude or on Audi Club? Because we're preaching to the choir with that. They're just going to keep buying their cars anyway. It's like, well, one,
Yeah.
you're taking them for granted, but
That
two,
backfired quite a lot now. They're going to keep
yeah.
buying our cars. Yeah. Are
But
they?
But also in the US, all right, I'm gonna get a little beef I have from a couple weeks ago. I haven't written about it yet on my site, but I'm going to, which
Sure.
is Pikes Peak happened like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
And the Michelle Mouton winning
Yeah.
1985. I didn't go, and I'm disappointed in myself for not just making it happen and going. But one of the things I noticed that weekend was there, besides Michelle, you had I think his name's Dave, the guy from the UK who built the Group S replica. Um,
Yeah. The white one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
in town
Yeah.
and
I saw
competed in
that.
that. There were
Okay. Yeah.
two S1E2 replicas running, and
Yeah.
then several TTRSs. Like it was the most, but older cars, right? Out of production, not current. So there's not really a commercial value for them to be there, except for Michelle. Michelle is, I think, a very important part of Audi heritage, sometimes misunderstood. And, she was inducted into the Hall of Fame. She never comes back. She came back, and I emailed people at Audi Tradition and people at Audi of America, got no responses. I don't
Yeah.
want to beat up on them, but they didn't respond. And
Yeah.
maybe I should have sent it elsewhere. We should chat. But more importantly, nobody went, right? And
Mm.
and I didn't go myself, so I was thinking more about that than anything else. And then the next day, like Monday or Tuesday after the weekend, I'm on LinkedIn and I see, Audi of America executives posting that they were at like soccer night, Audi night, MLS, something. I saw Bayern,
Yeah.
FC Bayern was
Yeah.
there. And look, I'm not here to beat up on soccer, but the reality is, I don't care who sponsors soccer, right? Like, and even I think a lot of soccer fans probably don't care who sponsors soccer, but what you're doing is you're hanging on to soccer's coattails. If I'm an Audi executive, and I'm not, but if
Yeah.
I want people to be Audi fans, not soccer fans. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, and
Yeah,
if
they
those soccer
got the
fans are
heritage.
becoming Audi fans, I'm not doing my job.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I know what you're saying exactly. That's the same. That's what I mean. That's kind of can be, said about that 14-page letter that they
Yeah,
asked me to shorten down because the board members didn't have time to read it. I
right.
was like, how long does it take? A few more minutes? Yeah, but they're busy. They have full day of schedule. I'm like, come on, is it really that not that important? That was back then, and
Yeah,
luckily things have changed, but we are in a very, very special time right now, what has happened in the last week. I mean, I expected something, but I didn't expect this.
yeah.
So it's a very, very I'm thankful.
I mean, the response, I have your site here in front of me. The response has been what, 9 days ago you posted it. You got 164,000
Comments.
views at least. I don't know how many comments, but
But,
obviously
but
one's
but- yeah, but have you
owner.
seen the comments? These are not comments. These are life
Yeah,
stories. That's what hits me the most because 4,000 comments can be, great job
yeah,
done or whatever.
right.
Look at what these people are writing. That is what makes me the most proud.
Yeah, yeah. No,
No.
agreed. I guess my other question for you, I have not combed through the comments as I'm sure thoroughly as you have.
Oh yeah,
What
I'm
what I'm
sorry.
curious about is, do you have what I've seen less and less over the last couple of years is like people are still fans of the brand, but it gets very negative very quickly. And I've always wondered, is that the internet just being the internet, or is that, I would see paid posts by Audi on Facebook, and I would read the comments, and it's all like, "Your cars stink." You know what I mean? Like
Oh, but
it.
they delete those negative comments anyway.
Do
That's
they?
the thing. Yeah, but well, the internet has given the voice to people that should not have a voice. That's one thing. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
well, listen, the whole thing. I think a lot of people were scared to say what I said, especially when I'm on model launches and there's a lot of medias there who are
Yeah.
way bigger than me.
Yeah.
I sit down and I talk to them and I say what I think, and they agree. So I'm asking, why don't you speak about it? Well, I'm afraid that I'm not gonna be invited to the next event. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what? So I was more like, okay, listen, I've come a long way in my life. I've reached far, and I don't think that I need to reach any higher. I'm happy in the position where I am. I'm happy with my life. I need to say this. Whatever happens after this, I don't care. If it goes
Right.
well, it goes well. If I get canceled, if they don't invite me to Audi, model launches, I'm fine with that. But I can't go on like this. I
I,
told myself,
I, I
"Man,
I think I messaged you privately about this, but I just want to say it here for the record too. Like I,
yeah,
I think that was a very courageous move, right? I've been on the train, right, where you're getting all the
yeah,
invites and you get the access, and the
yeah,
access is often directly correlates to the quality, the insight you have, the quality of the
yeah.
material you'll create, et cetera. And so, that you're currently in that and have that to lose, I think I would hope somebody at Audi recognizes, rather than just being angry and cutting you off if that were their
Yeah, but
first
yeah,
reaction,
yeah, exactly,
that they
exactly.
would,
But that's the thing. I knew that I had so many people behind me that I knew that
right?
the movement would be so much bigger that they couldn't stop us. And I'm not talking about me. This is not a me thing. This is a whole
Community.
movement. This is people like you, like me, like
Yeah.
other people that love the brand so much and they see it being crushed. And this is funny because I mean, I'm not gonna say names but I'm getting emails in the last week. I mean, tens and 20, 30, 40 emails from employees from
That's
Audi
wonderful.
thanking me. Thank you. I want to read one thing for you. I will not,
Yeah.
but this was an email I got today. And I can tell you, I was driving from my parents' house, and I literally, as I was reading that, I cried a little bit to myself because those words meant so much for me hearing from an employee at Audi. Here's what the person says. So, hi, I can really feel your answer. The best thing you could do was to make this remarkable film. I am sure it will create an impact. Now, here comes the really important part. To speak of myself, I am somehow another person after watching it. I see
Hmm.
things different now, and it connected me with my company again because it made me see the potential of the people working here. We need to fight for the right solutions, not from a steering committee perspective, but from our hearts and souls, which want to deliver the best for the people. Now, you tell me the value of that email.
No, I think look, man, it's in business, you see two things, right? You see instinct and you see people who just want to play by numbers, right? Like
Yeah,
data makes us lazy nowadays. And so when you
yeah,
look and see, whether it's on YouTube, what videos of mine did well, which videos didn't, right? Like
yeah,
I'm just going to do more
of
what did
course.
well. That it's no different in car manufacturing. And I think for me, that's what really broke in 2016. I was very frustrated when we got our offer on the sites. I was already like I went from like being on every tech day, every
Yeah,
long lead, every short lead
yeah,
domestically, every auto show we had an invite to like now if I went to Geneva, I had to like they would fly us over and put us in the press hotel. Now I'm like staying in France with another photographer I know, and we're just trying to split costs and
yeah.
while all the people inside
Mhm.
the fence do well. It
Yeah.
was so frustrating because it was all numbers. It was like you don't have the volume. I could have owned Audi World, Quatch World. I could have owned all of them. It wouldn't have mattered. I
You still
wouldn't have done
enjoy
the
it.
volume of say Road and Track or Edmunds. And
Yeah.
so like the push, volume in cars is Q5 sells, so let's just do more Q5. And while I get it, R8 is what sells hearts, right?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the racing, and
I
we'll see with
forgot about
Formula
it.
One how that does. But
But the reason why the third generation R was canceled. It's Formula One. They wanted to spend the money on Formula One. The design was,
it
the
doesn't.
design was ready. It was approved. Everything was finished.
So
They
the
were going.
design, I saw you mention that.
Yeah.
Now, what I wonder is because there've been rumors lately that they might go back and build. It was it
No.
Temerario based, the one that was
Yeah, yeah,
finalized.
yeah. Yes, yes. But they're not
But what I
going.
wonder now is if it's not current design language, it probably would never see the light of day. Like, it couldn't
Yeah.
be as if it was finalized and you could just push it forward. Its chances might be better.
Yeah, but
Um,
they backed off of it because they wanted to spend the money on Formula One. And we'll see.
yeah,
We'll see if that was a wise choice. I mean, in my opinion, they should never, ever, ever cancel the R8 no matter what. Never,
right.
never. Especially when Lambo is doing the Temerario. I mean, come
I
on.
mean, look, so for me, I've had this F1 conversation with so many people around the Audi brand, right? Like I'm not ready to write it off. Like I've been watching F1 this
I
year,
mean,
and
yeah, I have hopes.
Sauber did great last weekend, so that's awesome. But it's Le Mans was such a whether it was Le Mans or customer racing, it was such an experience for everybody to take part in. I did so many motorsport experiences. Like I did Le Mans 10 years, I did Sebring probably as many years, Daytona. Like it was something that all of these fans could come and take part in. At Le Mans, they had I don't know if you ever attended. They had they made a race hotel across the street in a convention center and would
Yeah,
house hundreds of people in the experience and
yeah,
it brought you into the brand. It made you want to be,
yes.
you felt like you were part of it. And to me, Formula One is a bit of a product to consume, not a experience to be part
Mhm.
of.
What the funny question is, if we are, let's say we are teenagers now, what
Yeah.
car would bring us into Audi right now?
All right. I'm gonna ask that question a different way, and I'd love to hear your answer, and I'm happy to give you mine. What I'm gonna first I'll ask you about Porsche. What car defines Porsche in their
What car?
lineup? It's an easy one, right?
Yeah. What car defines Audi? R8, period.
Yeah, well, but today, if I asked my wife this question, right? From my wife who like knows cars a little bit but doesn't really care, to like I've been asking a bunch of my friends this question, and for my
Yeah.
wife, she was like TT or whatever I'm driving, which is
Yeah.
she's driving an
Yeah.
e-tron right now, right? But
Yeah.
but regardless, like it's not an easy answer. And the funny thing about her answer, the TT or the e-tron, well, the TT was canceled 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and the e-tron, her e-tron is 2 years old, and it's already
Mhm.
been facelifted and canceled, right? They're both gone.
Yeah.
So, well, what is the brand's flag holder, and the R8 was it. I agree. The R8 was, whether it was Iron Man or whether it was the R8
Oh,
LMP1, is the most dominant winning car
yeah.
ever in Le Mans. I mean, the
I mean,
heritage there.
yeah, nobody could ever say, as I said from the movie, I have seen the movie so many times. I have in my
Yeah,
head, so I'm repeating my words, but nobody could ever say a bad thing about the R8, whether you are a BMW fan or you always respected that car.
right.
And how crazy is that? And the funny thing, thanks to Gernot Dillner, they almost messed it up and removed the RS6 name completely because it was supposed to be named on RS7. And I can tell you, I
Right.
have a big part in that because our when we were mailing back and forth with Gernot in the beginning, I told him, I told him, listen, man, please, before it's too late, please don't let the RS6 be named RS7. Please, I told him, it's very easy to just have an A6 e-tron and an A6. Please, I wrote him many times, and boom, a few months later, the decision comes. And
Yeah.
also, they said that they changed it in the last moment. It was a very costly thing, but they did the right thing, and I was very
It
proud of that.
it makes you wonder, right? Like going to the, you talked about the Rhombus badges earlier in the S lines, or
Mm.
whether it's this. You wonder if, like, if any of them pay attention to the industry, right? And BMW changing M3, which is one of the most valuable
That,
names,
that was
like,
crazy. Yeah.
right, changing it to M4 for the coupe was such a, like, it was a move by a non-car person who didn't
Yeah.
appreciate the badge. And to go and then repeat that, right? To go, okay, we're gonna do this now
In a
too.
worse way, in a worse way, because the M3 is still around. It's still a great car. It's a four-door petrol car. What
Yeah,
are they
yeah,
going to make an RS4 e-tron?
right.
The electric car of a car that's been around 25 years and probably one of the most
Well,
known
and,
athletes ever.
but that's, again, a car person would know. I think here's the other side of it. RS4 is such a, a historic,
Yeah, yeah,
historically
of course,
respected name too.
of course.
And to go and put that only on an e-tron, I don't know about
Oh,
Europe, but in the US, there's partly politically charged, but there's such a pushback on electrics. And
yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Same here. Same here.
so, so,
People are,
so
yeah.
to take the better name, the more storied name, and put it on the electric is
Yeah.
kind of a slap in the face. And
Yes.
I get that we have to go to electric at some point. I'm not trying to be anti-EV. I just, man, it seems
I'm
like they're
also
not even trying.
trying. I'm also trying not to, and I hope that there's somebody who's gonna come up with a different,
Yeah.
internal combustion engine with some different fuel or something because I don't want to go electric. I really
Ha-
don't. I have no
Have you
passion
driven?
in electric car.
Have you
I've
driven the
driven.
5N, the Hyundai?
Yes, yes, I loved
I have
it.
not. Did
But
you?
that was the thing why I based my whole EV for the enthusiast part. I
Yeah.
still think they should make a stick shift, three pedal, manual,
Yeah.
electric car, faking the
Right.
feeling and making the sound in a great way. Not like Ioniq 5N with this PlayStation sound. No, work on
Right.
somebody great that can come on. We can fly to the moon. We can do everything. We
Yeah.
can do this. Can you
I,
imagine if they would do a sports quattro manual with
yeah.
and this, and then you can switch the sound off and on. This would be
Yeah.
an icon.
Did they? I'm trying to remember who told me about that. At some point, they were playing with. They had a car that would, like, a prototype, right, internally, that
Yeah,
they were playing with. They could flip between, like, an R8 LMP1 or an
yeah,
R18 or a Sport
yeah,
Quattro or whatever, an S1E2, and neat idea, but it never got executed. And
yeah.
I feel like it's the
Probably
non-car
they're too
people.
late. Yeah, probably they're too late already because probably
Eh,
somebody's working on that car. I don't want to know who's going to be the first one to, hey, we're dropping in the EV with manual gearbox.
it's,
You know,
if you haven't done it yet, it's never too late. But I
uh,
like 5N to me is an interesting one because on one hand, the
but
execution's a little bit iffy, but
but the wind after the heart.
but they tried.
Yes, and it's great.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved it,
yeah,
and that's what I said. Like I was sitting there with the RS3 people in the event, and I was telling them, "Why don't you do this?
right,
Why don't you do go after the heart? Do something." And I remember the RS3 person. He was like sitting there, great car guy, by the way. He was like,
yeah.
"Yeah, you have a point." He was sitting there and scratching his head. So who knows? Who knows? That was like 1.5 years ago. But I wonder who's going to be first, though. I wish Audi would. Can you imagine? As I said, look at what the French guys are doing with the Renault 5. Looks
Right.
awesome, the EV. Just make a freaking Sport Quattro or a Ur Quattro or whatever. Make it
Yeah,
electric with beautiful lines and then do something to catch the heart of the people.
totally. And and
So
the
much.
delivery has to be, like, there has to be some dramatic. So you, like, go back to Iron Man, right? Like if you watch one of those Avengers movies and it had no sound, you would not
Yeah.
care. right?
Oh, the
Like
Iron, yeah, crazy.
you got
When
to make me want to believe it a little bit, right? And even if
no,
it's a fake sound like the 5N
yes,
is doing, the
yeah,
PlayStation, that's better than nothing. At least I feel like the car is communicating to me in a way
yes.
that,
I feel,
yeah,
yeah, I feel just so completely soulless in any EV. I don't care if it's a Lucid Air or a Tesla or a Rimac. I have no feelings for EVs. I don't care
yeah.
if they have 1500 horsepower or more. I feel nothing. I'm numb. None.
I don't. It's funny. I don't. We're on our second e-tron. It's kind of like our family commuter,
Yeah, yeah,
and I don't. It's not the EV part that I hate. It's the weight. So you have to engineer around
yeah,
that in the suspension.
yeah,
Um, and it's the lack of, like, for me, a car is, I want to be able to communicate with it, whether that's how the
yeah,
steering feels or whether it's like allowing, like, the shifting also allows me, one, to control where I am in the speed, audibly
yeah,
hear it. It's speaking to me about where the engine is and how fast I'm going, and then, playing with the torque to, like, move the physics around of it. It's a bit of
yeah.
a dance, and the EV sort of takes all that away, and it
Yes.
makes you go, I just saw the new Haggerty piece with the latest electrics in it, and, like, you're going a bazillion miles an hour in like 3 seconds, but I don't care. Like, speed is,
Exactly, exact. Thank you. I don't care.
yeah,
That's what I think.
yeah,
I have an Instagram story like a few months ago. I'm sitting in the R8 V8 gated manual and I'm just clicking, click,
yeah, yeah.
click.
Oh my gosh, the
And then I
gated shifter
wrote,
in that thing. Yeah,
I don't care if your EV has 1500 screens and does 0 to 100 or 0 to 60 in 1 second. All I care is
right.
this. Click,
Yeah,
click, click. So for me, I mean, as I said, as you say, also we're open, but
yeah.
to EVs, but grab our attention somehow, grab our hearts, do
I, I,
something.
all right. So I have another theory in this, and you've got more recent access, so I'm curious if you've ever heard anything around this. My theory on it is, like, EVs were just sort of like the e-tron was just sort of being whispered about when I was getting out of the
Yeah,
launch cadence.
yeah,
But it seems like the car people inside initially went to the ICE projects, and the people working the EV projects were non-car people, and
yeah,
probably part of Dieselgate, maybe there was an evacuation of, like,
yeah,
the traditional car people.
yeah,
But it seems like the EVs are being created by people who look at cars as a transportation appliance. And for many people, cars are a transportation appliance. I get it. That's what our e-tron
yeah,
is.
yeah,
But the car people want more, and there are good reasons for it, not just because I want to, sound cool. Like,
yeah.
it's so much more than that. And I
I
feel like,
think things are gonna change now. I really do. I really do believe it.
yeah,
I really do believe it, I mean, what you're saying now, and like if you would be saying this like 3 years ago, I would be like, yeah, but nobody's gonna hear
right,
you.
yeah.
But now I think this last week, the last 2 weeks, I heard also the last few days that the CEO. I'm going to just read from. I mean, I know this is okay to read these things because these are not some secret stuff. But as I said, I've gotten a lot of employees emails and everything. So here we go. Where is it? Oh my God, it's not. Oh, Brian Scott wrote to me. Oh, hello.
Oh,
See,
did he?
yeah, that's funny. See, this is spreading. This is crazy.
Yeah,
That's
Brian's
crazy.
great.
So yeah, this is I'm not quoting anybody, but the film is currently going viral at Audi. Mr. Donald sent an internal email to top management today to get these points underway.
That's fantastic.
That's fantastic. He's
Yeah,
listening. I
right.
think I think he was so maybe choked before of people not believing in his ideas, and he has black on white. Look at this. We
Did
have to
you?
act now.
It's funny, man. So before this call, I was having, actually, Mike Jurgens. I think you and I have both been chatting with him the last couple days.
Yes.
He sent me the Manager magazine story, like the Make Audi Great Again story. I don't know if you saw that, but what that story reminded me of, because, at least from my end, Manager has always sort of been that place where these guys take shots at each other, or you kind of
Yeah.
hear what's going on, the
But
internal
this,
debates.
let me
It's not
guess.
about the cars.
Let me guess. Ferdinand,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Piech. I mean, because Mr. Ferdinand Piech was a very person that, he had a lot of enemies and he wanted to get things done. Don't you
Oh
think,
yeah, yeah.
don't you think Gernot is a new Ferdinand Piech? Are we
All
too
right, so
much?
Yeah, no, let's well, okay, Piek first.
I
Piek was
hope
Mr.
so.
917, Mr.
Yes.
Quattro, and a grandson of
Yeah.
Ferdinand Porsche. So in a lot of ways, there's never going to be another Piek. I wish there would be because
I love
he,
the film that Haggerty made,
yeah,
Jason.
what Jason
Yeah,
did.
God,
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that. No, and they were all tight, right? Like it's funny, like that era when Piek was at Volkswagen too, like whether it was like the whole crew of like Hatz Hockenberg, these are brilliant engineers
yeah,
and
yeah,
all kind of like PX guys, and throughout the company, like it was a magical time. So I don't know that you have that sort of cult of personality that Piek was able to demand, but I will say, reading that story in Manager, what I see is Dolner sort of being not wanting to deal with the normal. Like it seems like in the post Piek, post Dieselgate world, Audi has become kind of heavy with a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of people who aren't necessarily car people kind of with their own viewpoints, whether right or
yeah,
wrong. I obviously I'm a car person, so I'm going to say wrong,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I don't have to run a car company. And but it seems like he wants to make a lot of changes really fast, and he wants to push that. And I, from reading that story, it seemed to me like that was sort of the bureaucracy pushing
yeah.
back on Dolner. And so I love that he's challenging them. And I will say I think that's where your video and the sentiment behind it really hopefully helps him, right? Which
I
is
think I gave him a lot of power in terms of words, power of a word that he has
right.
black and white. Listen, we have a whole community, not only of enthusiasts, owners. I mean, as I
Yeah.
said, I gave them a free customer survey because you know that the customer, what do you call it? Customers survey, customer care division in Ingolstadt has been
You
gone.
mentioned that. I didn't realize that they had shut that down.
Yes, they shut it down completely, fully. And then you wonder, why are they doing things like that if they have no idea what the customers
Hey
want?
man, that I mean that goes back to the listening part, right? Honestly, that to me that was the most poetic part of your. I'm used to seeing pretty pictures from you. So when you went for
Yes.
the meaning of the Audi brand, being to listen, and
Yeah.
there are a lot listening, it really hurts. That to me hit so impactfully, and it's one of the things I've
Did you
struggled
tear
with
up?
the U.S. team is I have a lot of friends there, but like over the
Did
last
you
couple
tear up?
years, the culture is just like we got
Yeah.
this. We don't need to listen to you guys. And I don't. Who am I'm not the guy with the answers that are going to win them
Yeah.
everything. But at the same time, I know like there are people like you and me who know the brand backwards and
Yeah.
forwards and upside down. And if you're not listening to us at all, much less the people, the army of people behind you commenting on your
Yeah.
video or
Yeah.
for me at Audi Club or whatever, like if you don't care about what those people think, that's going to
Yes.
be costly. And I think that's where like the questions I would get, which are why should we preach to the choir? I think what they're seeing is the choir's not
Yeah.
happy, right? Like the choir's
Yeah.
like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go buy
Yeah.
another car, and that's where I think that's what you awoke with this, right? I hope is that like they
Feeling,
realize
emotion.
one, you're the passion of the people you're talking about emailing you, but
Yeah.
also the enthusiasts, like remember why they love the brand in the first
Yeah,
place.
because I think it was forgotten. But let me ask you this: Did you cry? Did you shed a tear watching that film?
I did. When you went for the not listen part, that's where you got
Yeah.
me. Like I can take or leave the rings thing. I can take or leave the badges. I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't want to die on that hill. It's
Yeah.
more the nature to me. Please understand too. I'm coming from having worked with Audi
Of
Club since
course.
2016,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
It's
it's the
difficult.
community and working with them that I really learned to appreciate that I didn't appreciate when I was at Fortitude because I just did whatever the hell I wanted. And seeing those people and how much passion they have, how much they volunteer and do for the brand to make the brand look good. And we would go into
Yeah.
events where like, if we're in Monterey Car Week and they're not present,
Yeah.
we're doing something. And then there would be elements, I don't want to blame it on the entire company, but there would
Yeah.
be elements people were like, well, you're not representing the brand properly. It's like, well, you're not even here, right? Like if you were
Yeah.
here, I wouldn't have to represent the brand, would I? Like it's that kind of thing that like I really appreciate those people, whether or not they understand, corporate identity rules or whether or not they understand how the politics that go behind making a new R8 or whatever. They don't, right? They're customers, but at the same time, they're incredibly important and their passion for the brand is very real. And for people who aren't passionate, they don't understand people who are. Like, I can't
Yeah.
really teach you how to be passionate. You kind of have to figure that out for yourself. And so many of these owners are, right? They're important. And
Yeah, and
and
there are so many people at Audi are still passionate. That's what we're seeing now.
right.
All these. private messages or emails. So actually, there was a lot of public comments from employees. I don't know if you read them on the video, public comments from employees that they are not happy, they haven't been happy, they haven't been listened to. And, giving those people a voice, that is the best. I mean, the email that I just wrote, read to you. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The guy is there, he's working there, but his passion was killed. And now he's seeing things again. The fog in front of his eyes, is gone. And I mean, why I asked you, why did you, I mean, if you cried watching that film, because I cried so many times making that film. You have
Oh, I
no
bet.
idea how, I mean, I had to re-record the voice of the whole film 3 times. Each time it
Did you?
took me 10 days.
Yeah.
Because it's a 17-minute, you have to, I mean, first of all, English is my third language, so a pronunciation, morning voice, you have to speak in a certain amount of, I mean, once I remember one day I had a time from 7 in the morning to like 3 p.m. to work on a video. I woke up, my voice was not okay. So I started to Google, what can I do to get rid of my morning voice? I took like a 45-minute shower. I started to sing in the pillows. I mean, stuff that was behind making this freaking film, it took me forever. Almost that, my wife told me, listen, I think you wanted to be too perfect. Why don't you just drop it? Because I went back to my voice. Oh, there was a little, or there was a little. Or I was like, no, I have to re-record that. But if I have to re-record that, I have to go back and re-record the 3 sentences before that. So I was getting nuts, and it took too
Yeah.
much time. It was supposed to take 3, 4 months, and now we're in the 6th month. Like, what is going on? So that was really tough. But also that was getting emotional. Like, I mean, for me, the most emotional part was, I mean, the R8 when those
Yeah.
words, when I'm saying the R8 is gone, the TT is gone, all the coupes are gone, all the cabriolets are gone, all of that.
Right.
I was like, I see tears running down my eyes and I had to stop myself, okay?
Yeah.
Also getting too emotional, too upset. When you're angry about things, I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting too emotional here. Let me pause, let me go back, let me calm down, let me re-record this. So
Right.
the whole process of the whole film, I mean, people are just looking at it, oh, hey, this is nice. And another thing, to find footage from 20 years among all my 50 external hard disk, oh,
Yeah.
that was
I
tough.
was, as I watched, I was wondering how many of these were like old footage versus stuff you reshot just for this.
Yeah.
Um,
But the thing is, all those footage where I'm actually going towards the car, those were
right.
never meant to be shown anywhere. That was just
Right.
me going to the car and moving the car, and then eventually later on using that scene when the car drives into the frame, right?
Right.
So I was thinking like, I can use that a lot of just me getting into the cars for 15 years or whatever in different
Right.
locations. Where, I mean, for example,
It definitely worked.
yeah, the second to the last scene of there is a Q7 at the end. It's a Q7, a white Q7, the second to the last scene, because the last scene is where I'm walking towards my 4 cars there, and the second to the last scene is the Q7. I did that intentionally because I wanted to do it for the Audi people, because that was when I got stuck with that Q7 in Ireland in 2018. I got stuck maybe 25 minutes away from any living creature or any house, and the tide was coming in. And I had to run to find somebody who can help me. I found some two drug dealers. This was like in Ireland, and I hopped into their cars. I was sitting among like whatever it was in the back of that old Jetta. They drove me to the nearest house. We got an old Nissan pickup. We came and pulled that Q7 out, literally just feet away from the tide coming in. So there's a lot of
Oh,
stories, and that was a little, like there's a few people in Audi that know that story, and I said that's why I put that Q7 in there, because despite of everything we've gone through, I wanted to kind of like that story was, it was a lot of work we had to do to get that
yeah.
Q7 out. And here we are in the same position. We can do this. And that's why I am standing by the 4 rings. So there's a little bit behind story to the whole of it. So there's a lot of
Right.
hidden Easter eggs in the whole film.
Well, again, man, I think I've said this before, not only being courageous doing it, but I think it's also worth mentioning, especially now you explain how long this took you to make and what a perfectionist you were doing,
Yeah.
doing it is. obviously I know what it, to some degree, I'm sure, at least I can relate with what it's like to have to, to be an entrepreneur, doing this yourself,
Yeah.
doing it out of passion, but also hustling and having to fill your days with like getting ahead and doing that. Worth
Yeah.
mentioning, you didn't want to start this until about an hour and 15 ago. You scheduled it, and you were 6 hours ahead of me, so it's got to be 11:20 p.m. your time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
11 to 20. Yeah.
right. And this is because you had a photo shoot before and you were like, so the fact that this took you so long to make,
Yeah.
I'd imagine you're working around the clock. I don't know if you have kids or whatever. I know before I had kids, that's all I
Not
did. It
yet.
was literally
Not
work on the
yet.
site.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you took the time to do it and to the level of perfection that you did. Again, I hope people, even if they disagree with you, I hope they see the concern and the love and the commitment
So,
to it.
yeah.
We don't always
Well,
have to agree on things. Trust me, as an American living here, going through
yeah.
the
Yeah.
politics we're going through in the U.S., like we don't have to
But
always
yes,
agree
yeah,
on
but
things.
that's the
But
thing. Also, in the film, you can really see the comments. I mean, yes, of course, there are a little bit comments here and there, or whatever,
yeah,
first world problems, or people just getting, normal people. This is like with the world we live in. This is what we're gonna see. But I would
right,
say that I think 99% of the comments are positive.
yeah,
That I mean, it's and that for me, I mean, I cannot. As I said, for me, I am not me. I am. We are. If
yeah,
we are, I am not. We are in this together. That's why I named this movie "Speak Up for Audi" because if we speak up together, we can push the brand to the better. Because I know that they have the ideas, they have the possibility. They just need to search deep into their soul and look and all these cars that are right there behind you. It's all they need to do.
yeah.
I'm getting very. I mean, I've been looking at those cars behind you many times. I get it. It's like.
Yeah, thank you.
Uh,
Yeah. Well, I will say I got an email. Actually, he didn't respond to me. He messaged me this afternoon. A guy who I won't say who he was, but he was a senior executive who was in PX Circle, right?
yeah,
And he messaged me this afternoon. He goes, "Have you seen this video?" And I said, "Well, most definitely I have. I'm actually talking to him later this afternoon." But he was very aware of it, and he wanted to make sure I'd seen it. I, you know,
yeah,
I think the whether people say it or not that this has the impact it does. It makes the rounds that it does and gets
yeah,
to people. I think they see that that's you know like people are
yeah.
waking up to like we've been just dealing with it for years, but speaking
Not
the
anymore.
unspoken, yeah, out in the open. I think unfortunately I don't want to be a pylon, right? Like I think that's what I said when I
Yeah.
wrote my thing too. Is like I don't want to just pile on for the sake of piling on because people
No,
love a
but this
train
has
wreck.
to be out there in the open. This has to. I mean, of
Yeah,
course, I'm hoping that more pages pick up on this. I mean, this has nothing to do with I want to go viral or something like that. No, not at all. Believe me, not at
yeah,
all. I'm fine. I have a good life. I'm happy. I'm fine. I don't need this. So
right,
this is what I'm just passionate about this, and I see that this can turn things around because it has been cooking behind the scenes of all people feeling like this, and
right.
now they have a voice, and I don't have to tell anything more than just read the comments. Read. There's people from Brazil, people from China, people from. I mean, they were writing like, "I remember when my father was this and this and that," and I mean, this is a whole story. I even stopped replying to the comments for the last 24 hours because I
Hmm.
replied to one that was 40 new. So, it was really, but when I'm reading that, I'm like, oh my God. I mean, when I'm
Yeah,
reading that, I'm getting emotional. But
right.
that's free customer service in the best way for Audi. Just have somebody, hey, listen, you five, you go through all the comments and you tell me and you choose the best and show them to me.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I would do if I would be the boss. Just have some
No,
and read the comments.
dude, I'm to give you a quick comparison. Like back when I'm gonna give him a shout out because I thought he was awesome. When Johan Denisham was running Audi of America
Yeah.
in the U.S., he was the CEO of Audi of America. So,
Yeah.
the importer here, Johan made time to. He set up like a couple hours in the afternoon. We sat in a boardroom and he got on my forums live. He would give me interviews. That's great. Johan was awesome.
Yeah.
But more importantly, sitting on my forums and interacting with everybody, right? Whether it was the
Yeah.
troll who came in to say something stupid,
Yeah.
whether it was a concerned owner. We had a PR person there. It was all kind of on the up and up in the way it was managed, right? And they were going
Yeah.
to handle it their Audi way, but he took the time and he cared, right? And I think that's
Yeah.
where so many executives, you can email them or reach out to them, kind of like with Dolner reacted to you, but so
Yeah.
many other executives, you may not even get a response, right? Like they're
Oh,
not
of
even,
course. Not even from their secretary. Yes, of
no.
course. I mean, but you can see, I mean, Well, some Audi people, they told me, well, you don't even know if he writes them himself. He just tells somebody else to write it. And I'm like, no, that's him.
Yeah,
The secretary would not write that. That's him.
right.
I mean, it's just too personal, and it's too, like the official comment that he gave us today, also that he sees the passion and the love that people have for the brand. And still there, although many people
Yeah.
left. Oh my God, so many have left. But I
Oh,
think
same with the US. Like
yeah,
most of the enthusiasts I knew in the building, like the people who I would nerd out with, right? Like
yeah,
the car
yeah,
people,
yeah,
or the people who didn't have the company car or whatever the current hot
yeah,
car is that everybody has to have, but it was, they owned, I've got a friend, I still have a friend there who's got a Mark 1 TT or whatever because they
yeah,
loved
yeah.
it. That was impactful to them.
Oh, yeah.
And what I found was most of the people who really bled it were either occasionally let go, but more often than not chose to leave and go to another brand or go to another
Uh,
industry. They were just worn out by,
exactly. I think you have a valid point there. Worn out is the correct
yeah,
words. Worn out of not being heard, the brand not
right,
going the direction that, I mean, anybody could imagine. I mean, it's funny. If somebody would tell us this 7 years ago, we would be like, yeah, that's probably the worst nightmare, you
right,
know? And it's
yeah,
crazy. I mean, I'm driving. There's a brand new RS3 that I have now sitting outside my window as we speak. I have it now for 2 3 days,
mhm,
and I'm driving in. I'm driving in it, and I'm feeling it, and it's okay. Doesn't make me feel yeah, but of course, the first thing I did when they delivered it to me, I pulled out my little box with all the badges, put a tape on the grill, and put the badge on. That's the first thing I
yeah,
did. I can't drive around an RS3 without a badge. Just
uh,
no. And then I stare at this goddamn steering wheel all the time, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I remember that first time I saw it in the new RS3, my comment was like, God damn it, not again. I literally said it out loud. I'm like, don't put this, how can you do it? I was like, literally,
yeah.
how can you do it? And I was like, literally standing there looking at these Audi people. How? Don't you see that this is wrong? And they was like, no, but
Hey,
this is, oh yeah, this is on your strategy, they said. I was like, well,
hey.
your strategy is wrong.
Well, I wonder so when I saw that steering wheel, to me, what struck me was it almost seems like they're trying to look like a logo on a phone, right? Like not necessarily.
Yeah,
Saw you mentioned it's a sticker in your video, but like
yeah,
it to me it looks like almost like in our era, when Mercedes went from that
yeah,
hood ornament, which was very almost pre-war,
yeah,
to
like an Audi 80 kind of style. This
right,
big
but
black
then started
steering
putting it
wheel.
on. It was more modern at the time, but so now
Yeah,
what I wonder is in the era of phones or the era of some of these electric startups that they feel like I had a Rivian for a while and it was
yeah,
kind of felt similar, right? It was a little more phone-like, and
yeah,
maybe that's where some consumers are. And I'm not here to say, okay, I'm not there, but
yeah.
whatever.
And there's
Um,
no feel in those rings. That's the thing. There was
yeah,
always feel. You could touch that chrome, you could feel it. There was some sort of identity or some sort of pride, and that's just gone. It fell off. You touch it and there's nothing there. It's like basically it describes
hmm,
exactly as it is. There is nothing there. There's no feeling, and that's exactly
right,
the problems we have. There is no feelings in those cars that came out the last year. There's none. Zero. And that's heartbreaking. Yeah, I mean, yes,
yeah.
those facelifts, that was like, we're talking about the RS3 and everything. I mean, did you drive the new S5, by the way? Did you sit in the S5?
I saw it at the dealer last week when I was there. Now I have a B9
Yeah.
RS5 competition.
Oh,
Love that car.
B9 is an amazing car.
Yeah.
The pre-facelift with the MMI knob.
Yeah, mine has the touch screen. Mine's a facelift, so
Oh,
it's a competition.
oh yeah, the B9 is even better in my opinion because it had the MMI knob and it had, okay, the screen is
Yeah,
small. Basically, if you would put those two together, you have the perfect car.
right.
But the competition is amazing car, absolutely, yes. But I missed
Yeah, if
that
I could
knob,
have the chassis on the earlier one, agreed.
right?
I mean, the cost
Yeah,
cutting. I know on B9 was just coming out again. I think it was the last European launch I did, and they had cut the cost of. I think that was supposed to have the mechanical
yeah.
um, screen like the A8 did, and I think what they found was like nobody was using that anyway. It was
That's
they
the
were
funny
always leaving
thing.
the
Yeah, I
screen out.
heard that. Yes, I think I read it somewhere. And every time, I start up my RS6, the C7.5 and everything, and then Screed pops
Yeah,
up, the banging
delivers
up
it.
and the pops up. I love it. Every single
Yeah,
god time, I love it. So,
it
but
is a presentation thing, right? Like
yes,
there's a sense of occasion. I think so. You mentioned Scotto earlier. At some point, I'll have to see if he'll let me do it. Right when it was before Ken passed, and it was at they. I think it was around Vegas. It was right after Vegas, and we were talking about what they learned in Vegas with the S1,
Yeah.
and that was it. And part of it was that they were learning because the car had capabilities that the former cars didn't, and then but you couldn't control torque, you couldn't do all these things, and we got on this kind of long tirade of just how you need that sense of occasion, right? Whether it's that screen coming out, but more importantly with the cars, it's the exhaust note, it's the
Yeah.
I think Brian referenced like Lamborghinis popping flames and whatever, but
Yeah.
it's this show, right? Like you
Yeah.
have, it's not just this quiet,
Yes.
forgettable
Yeah.
thing, and
Uh,
so important. I think that's where at some
yeah.
point they'll figure it out with EVs, but you got to get the car people back in the room like Hyundai did.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That was a very emotional video of him and Ken driving that Sports
Yeah,
Quattro. Which, by the way, I shot that Sports Quattro, the red one, because the car is from LCE. That was the
yeah.
original LCE Sports Quattro, the Turbo Monster. So
Oh
they brought
yeah,
it,
yeah, the white one.
the red Sports Quattro, on my channel, which I shot with my coworker a few years ago.
Yeah,
That's the same car. With they bought it and they brought it to the US. They repainted it white, and I remember
right.
watching the first video of just Ken smiling and doing donuts in that sports quattro. That is, priceless.
Yeah,
I will get my hands on a sports quattro someday. It's just that they are so crazy expensive right now.
they are
It's
crazy expensive.
ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I don't think I told you which cars I do have, but the thing is,
yeah.
I
Tell me.
no, but the thing is, I don't want to, because I have two cars that
Okay.
I recently bought, and the thing is, one of those cars, I posted a story on Instagram a few months ago, and it's got like, I don't know, 20 million views or something like that when I hang the keys,
Yeah.
because I have a little Audi key hanger and I hang the keys, and I told them that I bought one of the greatest. No, I said I bought the greatest Audi. No, no, sorry. I bought the most important Audi ever made. And people have been guessing and guessing and guessing which car it is. And I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to tell anybody yet. But the
Okay.
thing is, I'm dealing with a certain Audi dealer. We're going to do a restoration project, and we're going to bring it back to normal because it's leaking a little bit oil.
Yeah.
We need to pull the engine out, change all the hoses and everything. It's in a great condition. But we've talked about this car a lot today, and I bet you know what it is. I'm not going to say anything, but I'm just going to say click, click, and
Okay.
that's all. I'm not going to say anything more. So,
Well, I look forward to seeing it.
um, so yeah, I got, well, my dream car, first of all, the all-time dream car when we were talking about the RS4 B5 Nogar edition. That's
Mm-hmm.
number one. Number two, I have the B7 RS4 in sedan in sprint blue. I have the B8
Love it.
and a half RS4 Avant in a lovely mystic blue Audi exclusive with orange interior. You
Oh,
see that in
wonderful.
the video, in the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah.
The RS6 customized with that special interior and everything. That is the craziest car Audi has ever made. The C7.5. I know you guys didn't have it. You got the RS7, but that
Right.
car makes me feel everything that the C8 never did, or the C6 or whatever. That is the greatest
So
car.
you didn't. I've spent very little time, and I mean, I've been in an RS7. I spent very little time in MTM's C6, like the
Yeah,
bi-turbo V10.
yeah,
It was ridiculous torque. I mean,
yeah.
and box flares. So I look back at that era with very little seat time in either one, and I would
Yeah,
love to get in a C6 again, just because
yeah, I
the
love the
box.
C6.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the soul of the C7. The C7 is
Okay.
the best of everything. I mean, the way this, first of all, the looks, the
Yeah.
interior quality and everything was just top
Right.
notch. I literally tore the whole interior out and put everything in Alcantara and carbon fiber. Like every single
Huh.
thing in the car is in Alcantara and carbon fiber and nice leather. So that, and then I have my A4 still, the A4 B5. I still have it as I
All right.
said. I have the S8 V10, the D3, with a very unique interior. I have a Q5 3.2 Quattro, which I bought new also in 2010. One of
That's the inspiration for your logo, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
That car is I mean, come on, the first Q5, what an amazing car. What an
Yeah.
amazing car. And SQ5, by the way, also, which America went crazy about. I mean,
Yeah.
but reasons. Love that car so much. It has served me for 15 years. Never had a problem with it. It has the top-notch quality. Every time, because when I shoot, mostly when I shoot the car, I go to shoots when they're nearby, I go with the Q5. So,
Hmm.
for example, when I shot the new A5 or the new Q5, I was just cursing of all this craziness that they have. And once I got into my Q5, I'm like, there we go. Perfection right here. I don't need
Right.
anything. right here is the perfection. I don't need to push a button every time I go over the speed. I don't need to. I mean, the side lane assist is the worst invention of a car helping system ever because
Does it come on automatically for you in Europe? Like for me and my
yes, we have to turn it off every single time. Every
okay,
single
because I have
time.
to. It's off unless I turn it on. It was I
Oh
had
my
a
God.
the RS. I had my 21 RS6.
How many times did
Um,
it almost made me crash? I don't know. But I mean,
that's
you
annoying.
drive out of a petrol station and have a coffee in your one hand and you just want to go on
Yeah.
to the motorway and then car goes like, no, I'm going right again. So yeah, but
Yeah.
did I forget anything? I recently bought funny. I bought one of those cars behind you.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not necessarily on the poster or not, or maybe it's standing somewhere else, but it's quite cool that it's right there. And the funny thing is, I'm not gonna, yeah, but the funny thing is that
Yeah.
during the whole thing that we are dealing with now, it raises my interest for older Audis even more,
Huh.
you
Yeah.
know?
No. I I have an Quattro. It's rough, but it's a project. I'm gonna build it and have fun with it. I had that 80 Quattro behind me there, the
I
model
see
car.
that clearly. I see that
I had
clearly.
I think one of the nicer ones in the US. It was not low mileage, but it was incredibly well maintained. And I sold it to a
Yeah.
friend who works at Audi, and so it's now in Munich, and
Yeah.
he has access to Audi tradition parts. So good for him. He can
Oh, that's great. That's great.
uh,
Yeah, yeah. But I think, some other cars that I would love to have. I would love to have the S2.
yeah,
Oh my God, I saw one really nice one the other day. The coupe, not the sedan, not the
you
one.
want
I
the
want
coupe?
the coupe. I want the coupe. Oh my God, such a beautiful car.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I would also love to have the first generation TT. I would love it. I
Yes,
think
100%.
yeah. I mean, the interior, when you sit in one now, you go
Hmm.
like, oh my God, the quality
Yeah,
in every single button. And the car drives amazing. Even the front wheel drive 180 horsepower. It doesn't weigh
right.
anything. Great car. I think more and more people will notice that very soon.
I agree. It's time is pricing had gone up a little bit on them. They were starting to get
Uh,
like classic. Like, you could start to see an upswing, and then I
uh,
think they've softened the last couple of years. But I think the Mark One TT is, you know,
Amazing.
bound to be a classic. And I don't know. Do you know Freeman Thomas?
No,
Um,
doesn't ring a bell.
Freeman was a designer at the Simi Valley studio with Jay Mays, and
Oh,
they
okay.
did Concept One and the Beetle, and then he
Mm,
largely there's several designers credited with TT Mark One.
yeah.
Peter Schreier, Jay
Oh,
was
yeah.
involved kind of, but really the first drawings I think came from Freeman, and
Yeah.
Freeman's at Myers Bankstown, L.A. I went to visit him last time I was in L.A. and he's got his the last Mark One TT shipped into California was
Yeah.
his, and it's got this stuff like there's like three TT 3.2 bodywork and all these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not a 3.2, it's
Yeah.
manual. And he's got like 30 miles on it. It's just kind of
Yeah.
sitting on it. And,
Oh
oh,
my God.
it's a perfect car.
A1 Quattro is another one I want.
Oh yeah,
I was so close.
like the
So
first one
close.
with the
Yeah,
turbofans, the white one.
the white one. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I was so close to getting one like a few months
really.
ago. I was 1 hour too late. They already sold it, but it was like 15,000 miles or something. It was ridiculous. It
Oh
was
wow,
condition. So that one, yeah.
what a
And
special car that was.
yes, yes. And the funny thing is, the person that I've been, I mean, the person that was the project leader for the RS6 GT, which I basically made the whole chapter about how limited he was, and
Right.
he was also the project leader of the A1 Quattro.
Hmm.
And the difference between those two cars, how all in they went on the A1 Quattro,
Right.
although they actually wanted to make it a 5 cylinder, with the concept car was a 5 cylinder,
Yeah.
but they ended up having the 2 liter. But nevertheless, it's a great car. But when he told me all the things that he was so limited on the RS6 GT, this was like 2 years ago. Then I was like, no wonder, man. And he asked me if I
Yeah.
would like to work at Audi. And I was like, you know what? No. You know why? Because I don't want
Yeah.
to deal with those people that you deal with on a daily basis saying no to you
Right.
all the time. No way.
Yeah.
So it's tough
I've
for that.
struggled with that too over the years. Like some people have asked me, like, do you think you'd be interested in whatever? And
Yeah.
I don't want to. It's like meeting your heroes, right? Like I don't necessarily don't
Yeah.
necessarily want to because I don't want to hate it. You know.
Yeah,
Um.
that's also when I made that chapter in the end about what did I call it? The engineers versus the marketing people in suit when I had the
Right.
Steve Jobs reference and all of that. I really wanted to make a chapter about them, how important they are. And I wanted to give them like, hey, guys, you are amazing. You are special. You have to stand
Yeah.
up. You have
When
to stand up for yourself.
I hope it's your video empowered those people, right? Those people are, I don't want to name them because I don't necessarily, if they're still there, I don't
Yeah.
want to
Yes,
single
of
them out or
course.
anything. But I've met people over the years like you, right, who've built these amazing cars, whether they were prototypes or concept cars or taking cars in production,
Yeah.
who were so impassioned by their work and doing these cool things, and
Yeah.
it's such a special thing, and you hope that
Yeah.
there are still those. Yeah, I'm sure there are still some there. I know
They
that there
are
are.
right there. I meet them.
Yeah.
I talk to them, and as you said, I remember there was one event. I'm not gonna say which event it was, but I got into the new car with one of those people,
Yeah.
and he was sitting in the back seat. I was sitting in the front, and then he looked out, and there was one of the bigger bosses standing outside of the car, but he was facing the other direction. And then he goes like, okay, now let me close the door. Now I can tell you really what I think about this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
You
that
know
kind of thing. And then
what was
it
great?
makes you wonder why, like, why should he feel
Yeah.
like that?
What was great in the well, those politics for what it's worth, those politics have always been there, right? Like that's and it's not like even back in the PIC era, people were reserved and careful in the way they would have conversations
Yeah,
unless they were board members and then they didn't give an F, right? Like
yeah,
they so when I would have I had at times some of the PRs would try and run interference with me because like Michael Dick or like or Hots like those guys I tended
yeah,
to nerd out with and so they liked me and
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember you mentioned Jason Camise earlier. I remember one night sitting at dinner, I think it was after the Geneva Motor Show, and we're dishing
yeah,
with Michael Dick, who was head of like he was head of development at the time.
yeah.
And Michael was like total nerd. He had a golf liveried R8, he had a
Hmm.
golf liveried TTRS, he had a golf
Oh,
liveried
man.
A5 Sportback. He always had special weirdo cars that he just loved the details in building. Yet
Yes,
he's the head of development. And he starts talking about he goes, the TTRS is going to be special. It's going to be a 5 cylinder. Nobody knew any of this at the time.
yeah,
And Jason Camisa and I are sitting there having dinner with him at the corner of the table, like, what did he
yeah,
just tell us? Right? Like,
yeah.
like that's
I can
amazing.
imagine. Yeah, oh my God,
It-
that must have been a moment for you.
right, it was. And then if there's a PR anywhere around, in my experience, if it was somebody of Michael's level or Hots or any
Yeah,
of the board members, they would just sort of deal with it because there's nothing they could do.
yeah,
Right? Like
yeah,
these guys are board members, nobody's gonna fire them unless it's Piak or
yeah,
Wintercorn. And but the lower guys, you're always a little worried about your job, right? And so on one hand,
yeah,
you're doing this super cool stuff and you want to share it with people who will appreciate it, right? Like you're
yeah,
probably such a I don't know how many people nowadays can invest. I know they have better budgets in Germany, and so they bring more press
yeah,
on events. I'm curious how many people who are brand specific fans who really get
yeah,
it get invited.
yeah.
Because back in the day, there were a few of us who did, but then nowadays
Yeah.
they don't really
It's
take any
different now,
interest.
now all these TikTokers with 10 seconds videos, they get invited and you sit there next to them and
Yeah,
you can see that they have no idea
yeah,
about anything regarding a car. They just want to make a quick video, 10 seconds on
yeah.
TikTok, swoosh,
Pull the
swoosh,
little
swoosh.
cover off the steering wheel,
Yeah.
stroke the
Oh, don't.
dashboard.
Oh,
Okay, we're
please,
good.
no. Oh, please, God. No, yes, that's what I'm telling my coworker. I'm like, listen, if
Yeah,
you're going because the Corby, I can say his name. I was a Corbinian. Carparazzi is known as Carparazzi.
yeah,
Great guy. I
right.
was teaching him in the beginning of COVID because I couldn't travel as much, so I was teaching him a lot, and then he developed his own style and everything. And then he started with these goddamn car covers and the steering wheel covers. I'm like, can you please do something that not every single account do? Please
Yeah.
don't uncover the car anymore. Just please, just don't turn
I
the wheel
think
anymore.
it's like
It's
YouTuber face, right? I think that
yeah,
like you make these dopey
yeah,
thumbnails and like it does well with the algorithm. And at a certain point, these creators are creating for the algorithm. It's no different than like just wanting to
yes.
make Q5s and
Yes,
not,
yeah.
if you're chasing
But I
numbers, it
think,
works.
yeah, but I think we are a little bit past that era
Yeah.
those people are getting the numbers. I think it's like, I don't know, it's like vinyls or older cars. We are sick and tired of just being these numb people that don't feel and nothing is happening. So I feel like kind of also this film was made in the right time when we are actually longing to feel again,
Right.
you know? So I think
Yeah.
that is really important. And as I said, I would not do this if I would not believe it that they can do it. At the same time, I really think that this is their last chance. If they're gonna blow this now, there's no coming back from this.
Hopefully not last chance. I think there's always time for I'm gonna get philosophical with you for a second
Yes.
about Audi. One of the reasons I named my Insight Fortitude is I loved there's like this tradition at Audi of having to persevere, right? Like, so
Yeah.
whether it's August Horch losing his name and having to create
Yeah.
Audi, whether it's World War II, everything falls behind the Iron Curtain, they
Yeah.
have to start from nothing, whether it's in Formula
Yeah.
One before the war, right? Like Mercedes-Benz was the golden child, and
Mm.
yet they have Ferdinand Porsche, they make these mini cars. Then
Yeah.
it's modern days, it's Quattro, or it's, like
Yeah.
the Audi tradition pushing the 60 or the F10, what F103, whatever it is,
Yeah.
or modern days like the R8. It's constantly pushing your way through, having to work harder, and that was PX's theme, right? He didn't have the Porsche name. He was, he was the grandchild, but he was the grandchild like that didn't have the name and wasn't the golden child, and yet
Yeah.
it made him work harder, push harder. There's always this redemption arc. There's always this
Yeah.
pushing through that I think Audi has, and so I would argue it's never too late. It's just a matter of how costly
Yeah.
or how much it sets you back. I don't know.
You know what's also scary is that the upcoming Q7 and Q9 is going to create a lot of negative thoughts with these split headlights. These are the bigger
Yeah.
looking coupes. They look exactly like a Hyundai and Kia, and they look terrible. What I've seen in spy shots and everything. And I mean, the engines sound great, I'm sure. But the thing is, if they're going to have this, let's say, if the gear selector from the Q3 is going to go up to the steering wheel on the Q7s, it's Q9, and they're going to have these interiors and they're going to have the split headlights, it's going to be tough for them because those models, as I also, and you know it also as well, I know it as I
Mm,
mentioned in the film, a model is a what, 5 to 7 years cycle. So those decisions
yeah.
that we are seeing now was made 7 years ago, which probably the worst people at Audi worked at that time. These
Sure.
people that are now, people think that because the car is released now, it's now. No, it's not. It's an
Did,
old, I mean, that's the thing. They don't know this.
did you notice how many people were beating up on Massimo because they don't like the Q3? And you're kind of like, yeah, it's
Yes.
not him.
Yeah.
Right, like
Come
that's
on, that's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Massimo, interesting. I really hope that well, I don't know. Well, one of the design, as you said, you also have contact, but one of the
Yeah.
designers of one of my favorite cars, he's working with him now, and he says that he said it to this. Maybe the cars is not going to be as in your face as, let's say, Chinese cars are today. They're going to be
Right.
more traditional, and I think we have a winning concept. And when he said that, I'm like, all right, I'm believing you. I'm listening to you. As long as it
Yeah.
doesn't look like a freaking Q3 or A6 e-tron. As you can see, I use the A6 e-tron a lot in that video when I was talking about
Right.
something because I think that that car is looking like a soap. It's not an Audi. I think
But
the A6
is
concept
that
was an amazing looking car.
let me challenge. I agree with you. The proportions were
Yes.
so you got two things there. One is A6 e-tron concept to A6 e-tron
What happened next?
production. Well, you go from this era of Piek where like you have the Pikes Peak becomes the Q7, the
Hmm.
TTS become the TT Mark
Oh
One.
yeah.
You have
Nuvolari.
these. You're right. You have these cars that go from they're basically they show the actual car
Yeah.
and then they make it production to where from kind of like A3 sedan, that first five-cylinder red A3
Yeah.
that they showed on like the
Yeah.
A3 sedan proportions were much better than the production A3 sedan,
Yeah.
but that's where they stopped kind of caring about they would put better proportions on the concept and then it was kind of a
Yeah.
letdown when
Yeah.
the car would show up. And it's a shame when they first showed that A6 e-tron. I agree, but
Beautiful.
what I wonder with the A6 e-tron, I don't really aspire to own one, right? Like I don't really care,
Me neither.
but
Trust me. Oh, no, no.
right. But I wonder if they were trying to do like it was such a push to go aerodynamically efficient. Like it almost seemed like the modern day take on like the
No.
C3 100, where like there was just this like
No.
crazy focus on aero, and so
Okay.
Jelly Bean is what you're gonna end up with.
Yes, yeah, yeah, exactly. But also, when you think about it, the RS e-tron GT was identical to its concept car. That was interesting because it was
Yeah.
literally identical. And then they
No,
messed up
you're
the
right.
RS e-tron so bad. And that was,
Yeah.
I really liked it. Almost as you couldn't even see the split headlights because it was so
Right.
well designed. That car was beautiful. And then you see the reality, which is, I don't know, it's a Audi's Fiat multiple in my opinion. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I guess where I'm at on any of those cars, including the Q7 and Q9, is if they're commercially successful, I don't. It's kind of like
But then,
the SU. I don't aspire to own a Cayenne or a Macan. I just don't. I
yeah,
do aspire to own a
really,
911. And
yes,
where I'm going with that is if the Macan and the Cayenne and the Taycan and all those cars allow Porsche to be commercially viable to continue to make
yeah.
enthusiast vehicles, I think
Mm.
that's brilliant. And so I don't care if Q7 and Q9, if I don't feel it, okay, I just won't buy one. But if they sell well, hopefully that funds that R8 Mark III getting
I
made.
wish them
Or
the best, really. I wish them the best.
yeah,
I'm worried because I think getting rid of the A8, which is such an important car, was maybe it didn't sell well in the end, yes, but making a
right.
Q another SUV, do we really need one of those? Another
Yeah.
one? I mean, isn't Q7 big enough? So,
Yeah.
it's
Well, in the US, no, it's not. Um,
yeah.
I agree with you. I don't really want something bigger than a Q7. However, I just had like I was so candidly, I was also getting frustrated with the brand enough that I wanted to start looking at other things. And so
Mm,
I've been kind of playing from car to car. I got rid of my RS6 and I kind of uh, I went jumped to an SQ8 and then I jumped to a Rivian and just wanted to
yeah.
try it, right? Like I hear
Yeah.
good things. And that car is quite a bit bigger than the Q7 and it's more car than I want, but
Yeah.
though that size vehicle in the US sells well. The X7
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and so again, I'm not here to tell,
Well,
the
let's
person who
hope.
wants that car nah.
I
Sorry?
wish them success. I really do. I really do.
Yeah.
I wish them all the best. But they are not doing it right now, and we are their helping hand, because
What do you think what do you think if they do like a have you seen the Scout?
yeah.
What do you think if they do something like G-Wagony, like playing on the rally history, do a more
Yeah.
hardcore?
I mean, dude, as we were talking about before in this podcast, just awaken feelings. Just do
Yeah.
something, wake people feelings. Let's say for example, this Q6 e-tron off-road concept. Where I was
Ugh.
recently, but
Yeah.
yes, exactly. That's my
It's cool, but
sorry, that's my
yeah.
opinion. Meh, but
Yeah.
somebody thought something different.
Right.
So it was like, all right, yeah, all right. No, but yes, it's like, no,
Yeah.
it's a
You're
failure,
trying.
but you're
Yeah. A for
trying.
effort. Right.
Yeah, and exactly. And that was like, okay, we need to, but yeah, I really hope that now with this film and awaken people's hearts and that they can, I am just hopeful that things will change. Of course, we will not see the change immediately, but
Yeah.
well, one thing I was talking to this designer, the other day, and he was telling me that there's a lot of things that are already addressed that will change, but what he is fighting for still is to change that front badge that only shows an S. And he went to the person responsible for the front badging and he tell him, listen, we have to have the model definition back in the front grille because it's
Right.
history and heritage and people need to know that. What is the guy's reply? I'm sorry, but we don't have space for that. It doesn't fit. Well, what do you mean it doesn't fit? Just make it smaller, make the goddamn log.
No.
It's like I was so angry when I heard that. I was like, I want to sit down and talk to this person. Like, what do you mean it doesn't fit? It
What
fits.
I don't get though is like I could see where some purist on the design side is like, no, this is what we've developed. But I guess what I don't understand is why like the Zubahor team doesn't create for the people who want badges. There has to be like I remember when the R6 GT came out, the first thing I zeroed in on that car was the
Yeah, of course.
tricolor, like the 80s era rhombus, right? Like
Yes.
the and
Yes,
if
and I
I could
told you in the film that the guy that did that logo, it took him
yeah,
8 months to get a permission to use those three colors. He told me
yeah,
about
yeah.
the specific badge because I loved
But
it
how
as
could they
well.
not how could they like go ahead like BMW did the remember was the M4 Heritage badge like it was like
Yeah.
a right they did that like a couple years ago right and they
Yeah.
sold a ton of them and they just
Yeah.
charge more for it You know what I mean? Like I'll
Yeah,
pay more money for the tricolor badge.
yeah,
Just make it.
yes,
That's like
absolutely.
how hard
Yeah,
is that? It's your
yeah,
heritage. Like I
exactly.
don't
That's so crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
the
that would be
RC,
like they need to make money. So I don't understand
yeah.
why that wouldn't
I
get
think
made.
that's gone now. I mean, that's that they understand that making money, but their plan of cost cutting is gonna backfire on them and they're gonna lose money on cost cutting. Because the
Okay,
cost cutting has to be a different, you know.
so how much do you think? I know they have to cost cut. Part of that comes from Dieselgate. Part of that comes from money had to go to developing, PPE and like the electric architectures. I get all that. I guess I
But they're
just
not selling. They're not selling the PPE.
well,
That's the
yeah,
they're losing
that's
a
kind of
lot
a
of money.
problem. All right, so when I was getting rid of my Rivian, the downside of the Rivian, it was a very good product actually, but it
Oh,
was the suspension dynamics just weren't there. A Rivian needs to spend more time with Volkswagen, the
yeah,
Volkswagen development teams, right? Like
yeah,
not just Volkswagen brand, but Volkswagen Group.
yeah,
But where I'm going with that is, I looked at. I have a friend who has a high end used car business,
yeah.
and so he had an RS5 in stock. I actually went because he had an Audi exclusive RS e-tron GT, and I was like, you know what, I want to try one. And these cars were both 2023s, right? They were about the value of my Rivian to trade it, so it was just kind
Yeah.
of like even trading into it, and it was the RS e-tron GT being Audi exclusive and like ceramic brakes, everything, carbon roof, it had it all. The price on it new was double the price of the RS5 competition. Double, right?
And now probably the RS5 is worth more.
The same actually. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Who buys a car to lose that kind of money? I don't understand.
No,
Like it's a
I
neat car, it's heavy and there are things I don't like about it, but it's a
yeah.
nice car. It's
Yeah,
crazy
it's a nice
fast.
car. It's underpowered now because the new
Yeah,
one like 300 more horses, you know. So that one is
right.
like, hey, that's nothing now. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, the RZ20T, I think it's a great car. Yes, looks good. It has a lovely interior, kind of like the e-tron we were talking about. The first
Yeah.
e-tron SUV was a lovely car, great interior, Audi feel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I would not see myself driving one. I don't know why. I just don't. But
Yeah, I didn't
it's too
feel it that day.
expensive.
I drove the thing home and was like, I think I need to go back and get that RS5. And the RS5, the interior is not as nice. Like there was leather
Yeah,
everywhere inside the RS e-tron
yeah.
GT. The car didn't
But it
have
makes
soul,
you feel. Yeah, it
not
makes
like
you
the
feel.
RS5.
Yeah. I just hope that they don't mess it. But the funny thing, by the way, when I saw your story on the A4 and That's Not My Name song playing, I was laughing out loud to myself because that is exactly what I think. They should not release the RS5 Avant. It's still not too late. Just got them name it RS4. Yes, the A5 is out. Yes, the S5 is out.
Yeah,
Still, it's all right. You put the same
right.
front on the R6 as you did on the R7 C8. Nobody expected that. So,
Yeah. I wonder how hard it would be. Like I heard that argument, right? Like the auto car story on it's too
yeah.
late to make the change. But part of me does wonder like how hard would it be to just every time like clear it with the customer first, but every time one of those cars comes in for service, just be like, "Hey, we're gonna change it back to." I guess it's on the title and everything else. Maybe that's harder to do.
But the thing is, it's going to create a mess because that's not an RS5. That there's nothing to do with an RS5.
Yeah,
It's an RS4, which has a 25-year history. I mean, I'm an
right.
owner of three generations, for God's sake.
What's
It's
what's confusing about the A5 to me is
everything.
sure. It looks like a sedan, but it's a hatchback. So
Yeah.
it's a sportback kind of, but not. And you're calling it the sedan, but in
Mm,
China there's a long wheelbase
yes.
sportback.
That looks better.
Yeah, I agree. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, they should have just made them all sportbacks. Like
Yeah.
if you're gonna make it an A5 anyway, why wouldn't you do that?
I don't think the A5 is an ugly car. I like that
No,
the B5
it's
trunk
decent.
because the designer told me in person that he looked at the B5 trunk, the trunk in
Hmm,
the back and everything.
I could see
I think
that.
it's a neat car. It just needs proper badging, proper
Yeah.
quality interior, and just change the goddamn name to A4 and we'll be fine.
I'll even go more extreme than that, man, because A5 is pretty decent proportions, and it's like a
Yes.
lot of the modern cars today. I can get beyond certain
Yeah.
details, but the Q4 to me has to be probably the most, as product goes in the lineup, it's the most boring,
Yeah.
whatever. But
That's
even
cute.
then, I did the U.S. launch for that car, drove an S line, decently loaded. If you did a little more suspension tuning to it, put the
Yeah.
right wheels on it, lowered it a little bit, it
Looks
actually is
good.
a pretty cool car. Like
Yeah, it looks good.
it's just they
Yeah,
make them look boring.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I just spent a few days just before the RS3. I had the new A6, the C9 sedan.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, I'm in a tricky situation now because now I dropped the film like what is it, 8, 9 days ago. And normally I don't do films or my videos are normally 4 to 6 minutes long. And I don't
Hmm.
speak. I mean, I speak on some of them when I do some specials in my cars or something like that.
Right.
But also, I have to go back to doing auditography. So the thing is, the first time ever, it's the first time since 2011, since I started, I didn't post.
Hmm.
I missed posting one day, and then I missed posting 2 days, three, four, five. Now it's eight. I didn't post anything on Instagram or YouTube
Right.
because the momentum,
This. Yeah.
this. And so I was waiting for this interview, and then I was waiting to hear back from Anthony from Audizine because I know he planned to post something. Because I told him if you post this on your first page, I think we can get more momentum and it will just result in, in better value
Yeah.
and more of a movement. Like let's speak up because Audizine is still a great forum.
Did
So
he? I haven't talked to Anthony since this dropped. It's been a couple months since I've spoken to him, but
yeah,
I thought I
he was
saw a post by like ECS Tuning, which is like a kind of tuning and parts
yeah,
company here in the
yes,
US, and it was
yeah.
collaborated with. I swear, Audi Zine was
Yeah, I
collaborated with
know.
them.
Yes, he told me about that.
Yeah.
Audio Obsession. He made it and he collaborated with ECS Tuning
Yeah.
and Audi's. And yes, yeah, and Anthony told me that he was surprised how that went well. I said to
Right.
him, if you think that little post and a few photos went well, just wait if you do this. So I've been
Yeah.
asking him about it. I said to him, I don't want to be pushy, but here's an opportunity.
Sure.
So I was kind of like because I have the A6 sedan, I think I'm the first in the world that will have a video about that car not being because there was no launch for the A6
Okay.
sedan. It was an Avant. So there
Right.
was no, so I was the first one. And it's a white one, 2.0 TDI hybrid, very nice car. And
Hmm.
honestly, I like the way it looks, even though these weird looking split tail lights
Hmm.
big white car because on the black cars you don't see those tail lights. But
Right.
now I understand why they went because they wanted to do a modern C5, and I can kind of see it in it. So yeah, I'm just waiting to release the video, but I'm waiting if
Yeah.
some big page really picks it up and like let's say Audizine or something like that, or I'm grateful that Autopian did it and everything, but I feel like it has a chance to do more. The bigger this gets, the
Yeah.
better for Audi. That's how I feel this is it. I mean, as I said, I'm fine.
Right.
So people say, oh, they just YouTubers, they push because they just want to make money or they want to. No, this is not it.
That's
Anybody,
that's
if
the struggle,
anybody,
right? You're always going to have
yeah,
cynics who say that of you.
yeah.
But
But if
I,
anybody is gonna watch this or something, as I said,
yeah.
I'm fine. I don't hunt numbers. I'm really,
Right.
really fine. And people need to understand that I don't care. And that's the best feeling to not care.
Right.
I feel like it has done. I mean, it has gone viral inside Ingolstadt. That's the best thing that
Yeah.
could happen.
I,
And I
I think it's
feel,
definitely gone viral inside Ingolstadt and inside the Audi owner community.
yeah,
The
yeah,
enthusiast community certainly is very aware of it. I was
yeah,
curious when Autopian picked it up. That's their niche, but they're mainstream. They do launches. They're in and usually those blogs watch each other. So if
yeah,
like Autopian picks it up, maybe Jalopnik, maybe like
yeah,
I haven't
yeah.
I haven't seen others beyond them pick it up yet, but
Motor One didn't do, unfortunately. I don't know. I think they're kind of not doing these things anymore. They did before. They
yeah,
posted a lot of my stuff before, but I see that kind of like switched like official news and stuff like that. I was a little surprised because I feel like this could be a thing, but then again, not gonna push for
right,
anybody. So let's just
yeah,
hope. And then if it doesn't, it doesn't. It has done. I think it's gonna come back again because once the Q7 drop and people are gonna lose their minds over it, and the Q9 or whatever, they will come back to this video. It's there. It's gonna be there forever. Any other questions? My God, it's been 2 hours now. That
it
that
has
that
been. I mean, I'm sure you and I could probably go all
we could
night for a
talk
few
probably
nights,
for
but
24 hours. I feel like we could do that.
yeah, probably. Well, we'll have to do this again. Catch up on this, and maybe not always this subject because it's a heavy subject. But
Yeah, it
um,
is. It is. Yeah, I just hope, as I said, my hope is I just want Audi to see their potential, and I think the
Yeah.
potential is so amazingly wide. And well, I think I don't have to say anything more than to anybody. Just watch the film and you'll see,
Yeah, sure.
those tears and everything. And thank you, by
So
the way,
yeah.
for inviting me. It was a pleasure.
Oh yeah.
I
Hope,
think we
ho
connect on many topics.
it's been I've been watching you from afar for a while, right? So it's nice to finally meet you and
Likewise,
and I
likewise.
yeah, yeah. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think it's courage to do what you're doing, and whether people agree or
Thank you.
disagree on the basic points, it doesn't really
Yeah,
matter. I think that the overwhelming message is
yeah.
something people need to hear. So
I wouldn't do it without you guys. You guys picking it up and you guys also speaking up. And I said I knew that was going to happen. I just didn't know to what extent,
right,
how much. And when it did, I was like, okay, this is going somewhere. And when it did more, I woke up and there was 500 comments and was 500 comments. And I was like, okay, all right. This was worth all
yeah.
the.
Thanks for doing it, man.
Yeah, no, pleasure, pleasure, and thank you for those lovely backgrounds. I mean, that was an awesome. Every time I see that wide body or quattro, I think that's on the right, right, or is sport quattro because I don't see how long it is. I just see it's very
Uh, the one with the lights
the one
is
with the
a
sun, the one with the yeah, yeah, exactly the red sun, desert sun behind
yeah,
it.
that one's a group four. It's group four, right? Group two. Yeah, group four. So
Yeah,
it's an early one, a long wheelbase early one, and then that's Pikes Peak
Pikes Peak,
87,
yeah,
S1E2.
22.
Yeah,
Have you seen the video that we made on the S1E2?
I don't know that I
If
have. I'll have to
you
look it up.
okay, so when you finish this podcast, going on
Yeah.
our Auditography channel, look at the S1E2 video because that was one of my favorite videos. I mean, it has got
Okay.
like 100,000 views or something, but I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
surprised that it didn't have more because my God, that driver could drive his car.
Could he?
Oh my God, that car, crazy. And then
Yeah, yeah.
you got the Sport Quattro there on the left. I think it's red, right? But it's black and white.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Here,
that one. Yes, that's the
that
sport.
these are for you or for anybody else who's watching this. The FIA has an amazing PDF archive of like homologation
Yeah,
papers.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so all I
That's
did was like download the PDF of the Sport Quattro and the Quattro for
sport
Group
quattro.
B
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and blew them up in Photoshop and made posters out of them. So,
I was driving behind a GR Yaris today, and I was like, "Ah, I wish Audi
oh, what a
did
great
something."
car. Yeah.
I was like, I wish. That was my thought.
No, it's funny, right? Toyota, something happened to Toyota, whether it's the FRS or this,
Yeah,
the Super project, like
yeah,
they definitely went from this is funny how it goes back and forth, right? Back when Audi was really hitting in a lot of ways, like with the
yeah.
R8 and the TT,
A1
Toyota
quattro.
was an
Yeah,
appliance brand here in the US.
yeah.
Like nobody cared. And
And look now.
now
Look,
I go to Cars and Coffee and like Supras show up and
yeah,
GR Corollas show up.
yeah, yeah.
Um the
And and then Audi fans come in their RS5 V8s.
we
That's
yeah, well
yeah,
we still have my maybe it's because I go there and I'm one of the guys who started it, but like
yeah,
the my local Cars and Coffee, there's a
yeah,
decent number of local guys who like one guy just got the new RS3. He had an early 8V and he
yeah.
just got the facelift 8Y. There are a couple of
And
the TTR.
where do you live, by the way?
I live in Hershey, Pennsylvania, so I'm like in the U.S. The East Coast. Everything's close by, and I'm
Yeah.
probably about 3 hours from New York City. I'm 2 hours from Audi of
Um,
America headquarters in D.C.
Live
Um,
far away from LA area.
yeah, yeah, East
Yeah.
Coast.
But I was thinking of Tyler, Pacific German, great guy is
Tyler's excellent. Love
yeah,
Tyler.
great guy. Yeah. So we need
Yeah,
we need more people like that. I mean,
for sure.
so yeah, Audi just needs to do
They're
Audi.
out there, man. And you look at
Yes.
like Audi Group LA. I don't know if you've ever hooked up with them. I know you've been in
Oh
LA a
yeah,
number of times.
yes, 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 of course.
Yeah, Randy and
Randy.
his stuff.
Yeah, yeah, we
Amazing.
met in 2019 on the. That's funny actually when you mention him because we met on an R6 launch because remember the Audi Germany had an official R6 launch in LA in
Right.
2019, and I wrote to like an official like thread on Instagram, hey, I'm in LA. Is there anybody that has some cars or whatever? And the first person that wrote to me was Randy, and the second was
Yeah.
Ty. And that's how I
Yeah.
met them. So that was like 6 years ago. And then they were, I said, okay, let me bring the RS6 and then let's see what you got. And we did a shoot together with Tyler's S4 B9 All Road. Do you remember the black one he had?
Yeah, yeah. Very cool car.
Yeah.
I put that
So
on a cover of the of the Quattro magazine that Audi Club did. That was a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
great car.
That was so. That was yeah. That's so. So yeah, the world is small, but they are. And I mean, look what Randy is doing with the Audi Group LA.
Sure.
It's huge meetups with all these cars, all these
Yeah.
R8s. I mean, and yeah, it's crazy.
Dude, I'll tell
People.
you that. So in 20, again, we could go all night. I'll cut this short because I know it's late for you.
Yeah,
When I left Fortitude, we sold the company. A woman who was running Audi Club, she was their liaison at Audi of America, and she approached me and
yeah,
she's like, "Look, they could use some help. They need to come in the digital age." The
yeah,
organization was strong, but they really hadn't embraced the internet and some other
yeah,
things. And they wanted me to bring down the demographic close age wise, get it closer to the brand and in the cities like LA where they're stronger.
yeah,
And I worked on that so much and like talking to guys like Randy, trying to make the club more like
yeah,
encompassing for enthusiasts like him who were starting really
yeah,
amazing things. And it was tough because like by the time we got there, it's almost like she was gone and it were the care for it had kind of gone away, and so
yeah,
like you build this amazing community that's out there despite you sometimes, and
yeah,
not to spite you, but like despite your efforts they they exist. And I just wish
yeah,
for that community Audi of America cared more about them, right? Like they, and
yeah,
I think some people do. I don't want to beat up on the entire organization, but what I'm
yeah,
looking for is like substantive support, right? Like go out
yeah,
there, be at events, maybe, more budget for Audi Club would have made. I just heard today,
yeah.
Porsche Club America, I was listening to their podcast. They are at 160,000 members now. Like
Hmm.
crazy big. But
And
Porsche
Audi could
supports
do
it.
the same.
Yeah.
Audi could do the same if they cared. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what what you're saying is basically for the whole Audi company, just
Yeah.
listen and care some more.
Right.
It's not the thing is they have been focused on getting the cheapest materials out there, just mass production of cars because they thought, as I said in the film, their plan backfired. They thought that could do anything they wanted to do to the brand and they would still
Yeah.
buy the cars. But they didn't know it backfired so much because nobody wants to drive these cars that we've been talking about it because they don't have any Audi DNA. It doesn't feel like an Audi anymore. It's the
Yeah.
crazy thing is that I didn't say it in a video because I didn't want to how to say mention other brands too much in the film. But when I was, searching for a new car for my wife, I was looking at, I had a certain budget and it was approximately what could it be? Let me say in
Yeah.
dollars. That's approximately $20,000, let's say. I wanted to get a car for my wife for $20,000. So I was looking at used Q5s,
Yeah.
2015s, the B8 ones, not and yeah, all right, I could get a decent car. But then, where I went to Kia, I just saw a Sonnet. It's kind of like a little bit bigger, and I saw a little bit smaller, and
Yeah.
you know, uh, I sat in that car. It had screens, it had buttons, the quality of the steering wheel. And here I am, the biggest Audi fan on earth, enjoying a Kia that feels better than the new A5, which costs four times more.
Yeah.
So I was like, why would somebody buy an A5 when they could get a Kia with better quality? And that's okay. Here we are. I have to do this movie.
Yeah.
That's what I really decided. You know what? I'm going to do this because this is ridiculous. And I bought the
Right.
Kia. So yeah, it's a great car. It's,
Yeah.
it's it has buttons for AC. You hear that, Audi? You know what that is?
I'll tell you, you know what I think that's the thing, right? Like the Audi, the stereotype of my Audi employee friends sometimes is like, the Audi enthusiast will always buy our products, whatever we do. Not
Yeah.
all of it, not everybody at Audi is that way, but some genuinely think that way. And what I try to tell them is like, and some of the, I don't know if you ever catch this from some of the mainstream journalists, they would make fun of me and be like, well, you're a fanboy because you only like one brand.
Of
And
course. Oh, come on.
right.
Yes, a million times.
Okay,
Yeah.
so fine, I'm loyal to the brand that I identify with on more than the cars. But
Yeah.
what I say is like, I've had other, like I had that Rivian in my garage is a
Mhm.
964. I bought it when we sold the sites, and I will never get rid of that car.
Yeah.
I love a good car, but I
Yeah.
I, I can have what cars I want. Like you go out
Yeah.
and you shop other cars, you look at them, you drive them, but I keep coming back to Audi for a reason, and
Exactly.
it's that like it's not that I'm a captive audience. There's just
Yeah.
always going to buy their car, but it's that I what's the magic that has me driving those the other cars and still coming back to
Yeah.
the brand anyway? And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what
Exactly.
that's what they need to capture.
Yeah, I think they have all the chances in the world now to make it right. It's maybe going to
Yeah.
take it some time, but if we are patient, with what Gernot wrote in that public quote that I could quote, and I wrote it was nice, it was careful, but hopeful.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah. Yeah.
really, as I said, I believe in him. I believe in all the people that have written in the comments in the video, employees, personal messages and employees. I can see a movement. And that email I read to you with that person saying that he's
Right.
never going to be the same person again because he feels more hope that he has everything he has in his company right there. They
Right.
just gotta open their eyes a little bit more. I guess
I
that's a
hope
good
so.
final thought there.
Totally. And I see it's after midnight for you. So thank you
I'm fine.
so much for your
I
time.
have no morning shoot tomorrow because it's raining. I was up. Perfect. Yeah, an example. I went to bed midnight last night at 3:20. I was up, so 3 hours sleep. I was shooting the RS3 3 hours. I was running around like crazy, and then I was shooting it again in sunset. So I was shooting it together. It's 6.5 hours today. And then people were like, "Oh, you're so lucky you drive those cars." I
Yeah.
bust my
They
behind
know.
for
Right.
this.
They don't
So
understand.
yeah,
It's not that it's
so
not fun. It's definitely fun, but it's
it's
hard
fun.
work.
It's
Yeah.
hard work and it's tiring the older you get as well. You
Yeah.
you, you know that. So, but at some point, I kept my passion. I still have my passion. That's why I made this film, and I'm glad it connected you, me, other people, and I hope it continues to do that. And then at the end of the day, let's just hope that Audi does well in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, thanks again. Um,
My pleasure. My pleasure.